fight to hold our heads up high and beat the drum to what we love. Risk the fall, or we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of the world that we defy. A solo ride of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last light.
everybody to the Sunday Happy Easter. It's actually CBLOL day because today we have Loud versus Red on the final upper semis of CBLOL playoffs. I'm Sochan, this is Solari with me. It's such a pleasure to be back with you. It's been a long due time.
It's been way too long, Soph, and I'm so happy to be back here at CBLOL because I can't wait to jump right into the madness that today promises to bring to us. Loud versus Red. We had a little discussion behind the scenes today about how many games we predict are going to happen today, and one of us, might or might not have been me, said that it's going to be a quick 3-0, you know? But it's only because I am delusional. Yes. Of course, it's not going to be 3 games. I'm expecting no less than 5 today. Red, I'm not going to make it easy for Loud, but this works both ways.
Yeah, it for sure does, because I agree with you. I think this game has potential to take it to a game 5, the series, of course, just like we had yesterday with Pain versus VKS. It felt like Pain had an upper hand because of the 2 games lead that they got, and then finally VKS brought it to a game 5, so I wouldn't be surprised if today is going to be the very same. But personally, I think it might be a 3-1. We'll see what's going to be the case, because I think both teams are very, very strong at the moment. So let's have a look at the Loud roster and talk a little bit through it, shall we? So on the Loud side, I would say that the biggest matchup to be looking at would be that top lane, Robo versus FNB for Loud, for Red Canids. So Loud, Robo in the top lane, Croc in the jungle, Tino's in the mid lane, Root, ADC, and Redbird support. What do you think? Do you think that's going to be the biggest of matchups of the day?
So I have 2 bets about what is going to be the biggest matchup of the day today. And for the first one, I do agree with you because Robo, we know historically has been super big for Loud. Robo is kind of the epitome of how Loud are going to feel in the game. If Robo does well, the whole team is going to do well. If Robo stumbles on the top lane, well, the whole team is not going to feel super well. But today, he's going to be playing against FNB. And FNB, especially lately in the last couple of weeks, has been absolutely popping off, especially if something like Jux is given to him. I would be very worried about how this matchup on the top lane is going to look like. And when I say worried, I mean very excited because it's going to be very bloody. But at the same time, I think the bot lane could be really interesting because on Loud side, we're talking about Rout and Redbird. But can we have actually a look at the Red roster? Because I feel like when you see those names, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Bronzy and Jojo on the bot lane. Another case of the players who stepped up massively in the last couple of weeks. Bronzy has been incredible with his micro plays lately, and I'm expecting no less from him today.
Oh yeah, me too. And as you were talking about there, we got FNB in the top lane, Aegis in the jungle, Graftar in the mid, Brancy as ADC, and Jojo support. I agree with you totally, Solari. We have FNB, of course, being such a staple for Red Canids, one of the most consistent players, I would say, especially because in the previous week of playoffs, we saw FNB on the game Red versus Lost taking the 3 MVPs of the 3-0 match, which is insane. But Brancy's not sleeping on it either. Jojo is performing like one of the best supports in the region so far. And the matchup against Root, usually such a clinical ADC, working out team fights like expert level. This is going to be a very intense matchup because Bronzy, I would say, is usually more proactive in the early game, wants to get that aggression in. So this could be a point where we go, all right, this is going to be an early game, like get the lead for Red Canids and then Loud going for a longer run late game?
That's what I would expect, to be honest, because that would be in line with what both of the teams are finding themselves to be in a comfort zone with, right? Bronzy and Jojo want to be playing around their early game, but I think here it will depend more on how Jojo will prefer to play with whether Bronzy, whatever Bronzy wants, you know, because Jojo is usually the playmaker on the bot lane. For Bronzy, it is fine to wait because we have seen him playing champions like Kai'Sa, for example, not really popping off too much in the laning phase, but going completely unstoppable later on. However, even with champions that want to be waiting, he is going to be very proactive if Jojo is getting his hands on the playmaking support and is actually living up to the name and making the plays on the bot lane. Give him a hook champion, give him something like Nautilus, and we are going to see a lot of action then on the bot lane coming from the Red Canids side. And then the question is going to be to the Loud bot lane. Are Rout and Redbird going to be able to withstand that aggression from them? Because it's going to be tough for them there.
I agree, and one thing that I noticed here on their match history is that actually for the side of Loud, Root has been playing Senna Kalista. I know that Senna, of course, is going to be scaling throughout the game, but has a good safe position in the early game to also be doing poke if you're not going to have the fasting Senna style. And this composition is a little different to what I would normally expect from Loud, but it has been doing them good. Just the final match of regular split that they played against VKS, not the match, the series, of course, that they played against VKS that didn't go really well for them, and they had the Kalista. In a case like this, I think Bronzy gets the upper hand on a Kalista game any day.
Yes, Bronzy's more. Bronzy's a player who is more familiar with how to play around those early game champions, and he feels more comfortable actually going for this early game aggression. So if we're talking about the lanes that want to be proactive during the laning phase, yes, I would give an upper hand to Bronzy. But talking about giving an upper hand to either of the teams in general, I gotta remind you that during the regular split, of course, these teams have met each other twice, and both of these times it was Loud who beat Red Canids.
That is very important, and I think that's a good segue to have a look at the bracket on your screen, because just a reminder, this is the final match of the upper semis, as we have the overall bracket here. Of course, it's a double elimination where the team... so Red versus Loud is the semi-final in the upper bracket that will lead into whoever's going to play against Spain Gaming in the upper finals. And we'll see what's going to be the rest of the bracket as well, because of the lower seeds and the matches they played last week. Of course, because Loud and VKS were top 2 in the region, they got advanced into semis in the upper bracket. Now, we already have confirmed, of course, that VKS is going to play Lost next week, and whoever loses today is going to play against Kaboom Solari.
Whoever wins is going to play against Spain, and yes, whoever loses is going to play against Kaboom. And honestly, it's going to be hard either way, I think. But before we get into those matchups, we need to have a look at the matchups that are going to be happening today. The Duck is dancing happily. We are dancing happily as well, because the drafts are already on our screens, with Loud starting the series on the blue side, batting out Orianna, Zeri, and Rakan, while Red are deciding that they don't want to see any AD carries today. Kalista, Varus, and Senna are banned out.
Alrighty, and on top of that, they also decide to go for a straight deny on Bronzy, because we know he's aggressive in the early game. You take out the Lucian. Of course, Root can play, I would say, with a very vast pool of champions, so this is as good as you can get, because you not only get a very powerful early game champion, but also deny that from Bronzy. I really like it. Now a hover coming from Red in a Nautilus form, and that to me could feel like maybe a Zeri game or a Kai'Sa game for Red, something along those lines. Wouldn't be surprised.
Zeri is not happening, unfortunately, because she was proactively banned by Loud.
Oh, yeah,
they
you're
had
right,
the same
of
idea
course.
as you, Soph, but Kai'Sa could happen. And honestly, I would like Kai'Sa for Bronzy, already having Nautilus in the team for Jojo, but he decides to pivot into Aphelios. So we have both AD carry cards already open from both of the sides. I quite like this Aphelios from Bronzy. Completely opposite idea on this bot lane already. But what is happening right now from Loud's side? Do you see what I'm seeing, Soph? Because yes, Maokai locked in for Croc, very nice, but Nami for Redbird. In the beginning of the split, when we were discussing Redbird a lot because he just joined Loud, we saw him playing quite some Nami plays, and those were really interesting ones. If he hits, he's a playmaker for the whole team.
Oh, I agree. And it's interesting as well, because I would say it's a coach decision from both sides, of course, starting with Loud, because they were blue side, to say, yes, we are taking things away from Bronzy. Red is also going to be worried about Root, so the ADC pool is going to shrink down considerably. And then we take the Lucian Nami. That's going to be the mind game behind, yes, Red, you're usually proactive in the early game. How about we take that over from you? And now Red have, of course, locked in that Aphelios and a Hui in the mid lane. I've been missing Hui on CBLOL, I will say, so I'm happy to see that coming out for Grifter.
I'm always happy to see Hui, and I'm always happy to see Hui in Greftar's hands, because Greftar is such a good supporting mid lane champion player, and Hui really fits this role. Despite the fact he hits like a truck, he still is more of a supporting champion, let's be fair, because the main character of this game is still going to be Aphelios. The whole team needs to be playing around Aphelios, but Hui is going to be such an excellent help, because Loud, They have damage, they have some sustain for their AD carry, but what they don't have is any range on their side whatsoever at the moment. Unless they pick up something that is going to have range on the mid lane, Lucian already is going to suffer quite a lot against this wave. This is pretty much a free poke situation for Red already.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So I am very confused. What is that splash out? What is next to
Which one?
Talia?
That's Aurelion Sol.
Oh yeah, you're right. Without the colors, it just looks very different. All right.
Yes, yes.
So just going on as you said there's going to be a very big priority for the Aphelios in display. To me, could mean something in the sorts of maybe a tankier top lane for FNB, which I actually don't like that much. So I would like to see the Jax, for example, coming through. Maybe the Aatrox would be good, but I think the Aatrox would be too much of getting into the backline and maybe leaving Aphelios alone is not the greatest strategy. Now, as the bans finalize, as you said, it's the Talia plus Aurelion Sol, and Loud finish with the Vi plus Sejuani, all focus here in the jungle.
All right, and we have another login for Red. This time it's going to be the jungler for ages. He's going to be playing Lee Sin today. As much as I'm not a fan of Lee Sin, there is only one thing that I hate more than Lee Sin, and that is going to be Lucian Nami. And in this specific scenario, I quite like Lee Sin because he is going to have access to the backline of Loud. And again, Lucian being very short range is going to be in dire danger if Aegis plays his cards right. But if this is going to be locked, and it is going to be locked for Tino's, this is karma for Loud's mid lane. Now the situation is very different from before. This Karma has everybody. She completes the puzzle. She ties everybody on the Loud side together because now it is going to be so much sustain, healing, and shielding for Loud. And forget about your range. All your poke is going to be healed by this Karma. Karma-Nami
so
combination.
Good. Yeah, of course. It's so good. Oh, I love this as well because we've seen a lot of Jax coming from FNB. We mentioned that it could be a good choice, so now they're denying it as well. Loud, now, of course, since this is the first match, the first series that they're playing into playoffs, they are showing me a very playoff strategy. They're showing a strategy that guarantees we want to have the one-on-up in the series. We don't want to give any sort of breach because it's very well thought. You try to focus on the enemy's strengths instead of on their weaknesses first because you want to try to take them out and control it yourself. So I really appreciate it. Now the matchup for FNB versus Robo will be the Jax and Cassante. What are your thoughts, Larry?
I'm not sure about how this one is going to go, to be honest. Like, this top lane can go in either direction right now. It can be a very volatile one with a lot of blood being shed, or it can just be completely silent up until the team fights are going to happen. What I can tell you already is going to happen for the majority of the mid game, most likely, is that Robo will try to split push a lot, because while Jax wants to be in the fights, because he's excellent at getting up close to the enemy, and a good counter strike can be pivotal for the team fight. At the same time, he's such a good split pusher that Loud will be silly if they miss the opportunity to send Robo to the side lanes and get him split push as much as possible. And on the red side, at the same time, Xante is pretty much the only champion who's going to be able to go to those side lanes and try to stop Jax as much as possible. Not completely turn the tides around, but at least stop him from pushing all the way to their nexus. So most likely, we're going to have the game where, except for the big fights, the top lanes are not going to be present with the rest of the team.
You have a lovely point there, Solari, because on top of this split push that's definitely going to come out from Robo at some point in the game, I also think that the red composition tells me they want to have access to the backline because, as you said, the Lucian is going to be lower in range. The Karma is going to enable everybody so well with the Nami. So you really have to not just get into your enemy's backline, take down the ADC, you also need to do that quick because the heal is going to stack, the shielding is going to stack, and then the more the fight lasts, the more you're going to be falling off because the Lee Sin is going to outscale there in the mid game. It's going to start to drop out in the scaling. And yes, the Hui's still going to be doing a lot of damage. The Aphelios as well, they scale super good. But it's important that they actually have time to grow when the Loud team really just wants to shut it down immediately. So I really appreciate what Red drafted to try and deny that pressure into the late game. Because in the early, they can have some good control on the map because of Lee Sin. Oh, there is the matchup. The Robo and FNB. As we are jumping into Summoner's Rift, Solari, Loud versus Red. Loud on the blue side, Red on the red side, which is very intuitive. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Wait, what happened? Look at Croc. Look at Kroksolv. He doesn't have flash, and he just had to recall because he was super low in health. Something definitely happened there, and we missed it. But what is important? It is no flash in Croc and no dead route, because that was super close to him being dead. And Robo now is not liking where he is, and I don't like it either. Robo, that's not your part of the jungle. You know that?
Are you sure that you understood that red is on the red side, Robo? Because that's looking a little wonky. And Solari, I wish we could have seen what happened there with Croc. And to be honest, this is the first time that I see a hook coming out from Nautilus and it doesn't hit. Oh, there it goes, and it finally does. All right, some chip damage coming out onto onto Root, excuse me, and Bronzy really doing what Bronzy does best, right? Controlling that early. Let's have a look at that replay.
So, the classical situation. Croc is going in to put a ward most likely in the enemy jungle just to see how their movements are going to look like, and he gets immediately called because it was a very nice trap right there by Red in that very bush. Don't go into the bushes if you're alone, or just don't go into the bushes in general. They're scary.
Don't do it in general. Don't face check. Going forward, one away, and the hit is there. First blood goes out to Root. A lot of summoner spells not wasted, but he burned all of them. In fact, while on the top side, they're all just slapping each other, is what you said, Solari. Early game, it's just going to be very even.
Yes, on the top lane, but not on the bot lane. Not at least right now with all these changes. Route having the first blood is so crucial for Loud at this very moment, because he needs to get this early game prior. He needs to get the early game money. This is Lucian we're talking about, and you mentioned it briefly. Aphelios is going to scale nicely into the game. 3-item power spike is going to be massive for him. For Lucian, you cannot really say the same. Of course, you can play well on Lucian later in the game, despite of how the early go is for you. But normally, Lucian falls off quite massively, which means he needs to play around his early game. He needs to scale himself up as quickly as possible to always be ahead of the enemy. And now, having already a kill, and this kill being the first blood, this is setting up Loud's bot lane in a very good situation.
Oh, it is. And one thing that we saw there with the runes highlighted for us, and of course, Root with the first strike for Delusion makes quite a lot of sense. As you mentioned, wanting to have that pressure, succeeding is the most important bit here for Loud in this first couple of minutes. And we'll see what's going to be the next rotation, because Rock is there here in the bot side. They have been spotted. There is a good ward coming from Red, and Lee Sin is most likely going to guarantee this first Scuttle Crab in the bot side if Rock doesn't contest it, and that's not going to be the case. Now, Tino is applying a lot of pressure onto Grefta, as you can, because the Karma, although she was nerfed a little bit, Malignus was nerfed a little bit, it's still super strong.
It's not enough. 2 nerfs are not enough to stop Karma from being absolutely unstoppable. And Tino is just escaping this attempt from Aegis to have anything happening on the mid lane. But it's very hard to have anything going on, because if you look at Grefthar, his mana pool is super low right now. And that is the issue with Wei. He suffers a lot from mana issues during the very early levels of the laning phase. However, Croc doesn't suffer from anything, especially mana issues or any issues whatsoever. He is making sure he sees Aegis at all times. Does he want to fight him, though?
Yeah, trying to get some damage, but of course, Lee Sin, quite a lot of mobility top side. Now they're going for an actual brawl. There's no ultimate for neither of the sides, and the Aegis might be
Redbird
there, but on the bot side, Redbird is taking damage, Solari, but it's just some poke. Redbird was trying to get that deep vision, and they get punished for it.
Who is getting punished? It is Red on all sides of the map right now. FNB might be in trouble because Croc is around. I believe Croc shouldn't have been noticed, but they have to understand that he is on the top side of the map right now because he has been spotted before. Oh, yeah, Redbird.
That's silly. What? No way, Solari. I thought that was going to be a good trade for Loud, and then Bronzy turned it around very close. A successful ignite also coming in. Root so aggressive. That's a snare coming out from Bronzy. You're not going to take them down. I don't have your ignite, but topside FNB almost takes down Robo, and instead, Crogums comes out to help, going out with the Twisted Advance, trying to deal some damage, or at least just clean out the wave so that Robo can escape in peace. But now the board is on 1-1.
That was a very prolonged brawl on the top lane. Beautiful escape for FNB. Not for FNB, sorry, but for Robo. I keep seeing Jax and I keep thinking that this is FNB because I'm so used to seeing FNB play on Jax. This time it's all the way around, so it's a little bit confusing. Don't mind me, please. But Robo escaped beautifully. I hope we're going to see that on replay a little bit later. But what happened here? Redbird is a very big hit or miss for me in Nami. When he hits, it is a huge hit, but when he misses, it is so damn painful. Look at that. It is one hook plus ignite from Jojo. All it takes to take the enemy support down, because Nami is extremely squishy and she will not have time to heal herself up after such an exchange.
And now Loud guarantees the 3 first Void Grubs of the game. And while everything was looking to be or going on for a pressure side on Loud, Red trying to come back around, dealing super well there on the bot side. Also a good rotation from Aegis on that top that we mentioned. Clearing now these wards as the Drake is in the Rift. Nobody really going to decide to go for it at this point. Aegis, though, could take advantage of this since the bot lane is very pushed.
Bot lane is very pushed, and that is really good news for Red right now. They are going to start this Drake. However, very nice ward already standing in there, telling Croc that the Drake has indeed been started and that maybe it's not the best idea for Loud to contest it right now. It's a really good Drake, and it will be super beneficial for Loud. No, Root, what are you doing?
Oh, there's
Oh my
no way.
goodness.
Wow, they're playing very, very aggressive on the side of Loud. And to be fair, I think they're trying to match the sort of aggression that Bronzy has, because he is a type of player, Solari, correct me if I'm wrong, that even if he's playing hyper carries like the Aphelios, like we saw once in a day Smolder before it was nerfed, it felt like they were getting aggressive in the early game. But now look at the stop side. Now Aegis hasn't spotted them. There's a Twisted Advance going in, and Tinos is in the back, and they're going to be dealing damage. Q Mantra is going to take Aegis very, very low. Dangerously so, but not enough in that conundrum. Now, Tinos could try still to do something. Are they gonna? There's the tether. Good connect, but a nice fear from Grefta gets them away. Some more chip damage, and they're safe.
The Mantra Q damage from Karma is absolutely disgusting. Funny enough, yes, she has been nerfed, as you mentioned already, Surf, but she has been nerfed mostly for the late game. Yes, late game damage Karma has been reduced, but late game Karma isn't about damage. Damage Karma happens in the early game, and she still hits like a truck, as you can see in this little exchange. Crafter has no way of answering to Tinos, and Tinos is free to do whatever he wants.
Yes, they are. I think I quite enjoyed what they're going around here. As you said, Solari, Karma in the early game going to have that pressure, so you can allow Tinos to assert that while Croc is getting your backup. No? I thought it was going to be a reset from Tinos, but it's not. They're deciding to push in a little bit more. There's no TP for Grefta, so that does make sense. Now the camera panning down here at the bot side. What is going to be the next play? Both ADCs with level 6, but none of the supports yet. They're trying to push in very deep for the next steps. No junglers nearby.
But Jojo is closer to level 6. If you look at those little levels on both of the supports, Jojo is a little bit closer, which means if he gets level 6 first, that is going to be aggression from Red side on the bot lane. If it is aggression onto Red, most likely this is going to be a kill confirmed, especially if he's still not with level 6 when this happens. But not right now, because all of the bot lanes decide to reset at this very moment. Really good moment for the AD carries to come back with a little bit more damage, and for supports to come back with boots. Well, in case of Jojo, it's boots. And I quite like this choice with the boots because it is negating a little bit of the damage and control from Nami, at the same time allowing him to look for better hook opportunities on this bot lane, which means again more aggression is possible now from the Red side, and that is not how it's supposed to look like. I'm starting to feel a little bit worried for Loud, so I'm not gonna lie, because this static shift on Lucian, that's the first item completed first in the game, very nice, very good, but not very much damage, because static shift is not exactly about damage.
Yeah, it's about pushing out the lane, Solari. You're totally right. And one thing I was going to mention as well is thinking of that Merc treads on Jojo. It also feels like, yeah, they're going to be rotating more to the mid lane if they take damage by Tinos. That's fine, because you're going to be negating some of that with your magic resistance. I thought they were going to even try to stay a little bit longer there on the mid lane, but it was just a quick rotation. Now coming back here to the bottom side, as we are still 2 minutes away from the Drake and a couple of seconds away from the next set of Void Grubs. It looks like Aegis are looking for that top side, while Croc is maintaining this push here at the bottom. They have been seen. They're trying to deny some of that vision. Now on the top side, they're taking damage. There comes the all-out. Almost, but they're just deciding to push in the lane.
And it's a very good decision because it means that Robo cannot really go and stop the void grabs from happening anymore, even though they see very well what is going on. Look at this ward. It is standing there and nobody's doing anything about it whatsoever. But for Loud, the focus is on the bot lane right now. Do they want to try to tower dive? The ultimate is coming in.
Yeah, oh yeah, it does. And there's a nature's grasp. Wait, the bubble doesn't hit? That is insane. But there comes the tidal wave, getting the knock-up onto Bronzy. Croc is still trying to get that position there. It's 4v1, while Greftar is still trying to get into the bot side. It was a good kill, but they're really eyeing the ADC. Still trying to go in. No minions to be seen. And now there they are. Bronzy trying to clear out the wave. Redbird is taking the damage. Croc trying to come in. There could be a tower dive successful. And it is, but not enough. It is still a 1-for-1.
I'm gonna be honest, Soft, that was one of the messiest tower dives I have seen in quite a long time. No disrespect to Loud, but that was not a good look for them. The problem is, you could see why they were dancing so long around Bronzy under this turret. The fact was, nobody was able to tank this turret. The only person full HP at that moment was Redbird, but Redbird is still a support and Nami support, and he doesn't really have a lot of health whatsoever. He could only tank 2 tower shots and he would be almost dead if it happens. Look at the health bars here. Who is going to tank the turret? Nobody can do it. And in the end, they make the call that Redbird is going to take 2 tower shots, if not 3. I'm not even sure how many that was. But in the end, he cannot take more than that. And Raud needs to take 1 for him. And that is going to be the death of him. Very bad decision making there. Maybe they should have let Bronzy leave.
Maybe, yeah, just get away with killing out the support. And as you said, it was very disconnected. You don't get the bubble knock up. You don't really get the tower aggro very successfully. Unfortunate there, but they still committed to it. And Root died at the end, as you said, Solari. Doesn't feel really, really good. And to be fair, Red is like, okay, that's many resources. That's a lot of time you wasted on me. I think I'm fine with this.
Yeah.
But there's a Drake on the board. It's the Infernal. And we'll see what's going to be the next course of action for both junglers.
And just to finish the last thought very quickly, 2 kills on the Croc. Croc got both kills in that exchange. What was the point? The point was to give Root kills. He didn't get any from this tower dive. He only gave his own death. His own life, rather.
Oh, yeah, Twisted Advance, and there's a tidal wave as well. Almost, just so close. And again, there's the 3 kills for Croc. They're probably going to die on this one. 3v1 doesn't look good even for the Maokai. Oh, what is that? Shielding. That is, oh my word, that is the Karma helping out. That's Tino's for you. But still, every single time the Loud tries to get aggressive, Red is still trading it back. Now looking to maybe go onto Jojo. Still focusing on the tower. What's going to be the next step? There's a Q. Enough damage and 1 kill for Root. That is the first good thing that happened after all these trades.
Well, he also got the turret, and they got the turret, and this is the first turret of the game, so that's some additional gold, and Loud really need the gold right now, especially onto Root. Another kill went, by the way, in the pockets of Croc, which is a fun thing. By getting the 3rd kill, he got a champion bounty on his head, and in the end, it was 150 additional gold that Bronzy managed to get from his head. And again, yes, I have to agree with you. Loud are having ideas, and the ideas are really interesting, but the execution for the 2nd time in a row in this bot lane suffers a lot. They are getting excused for quite long, much longer than they were supposed to, just because they have so much shielding and healing on their side, but that cannot last forever.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for them because they agree. Ideas, good. Execution, a little bit poor. Now, with a big rotation with Redbird and Root going out to the top side, there's a bubble onto FNB. Over the wall goes Root. They have enough damage to finish it off quite easily. Now, there's a quick bit of stun, but still, a killing spree for Root. All right, things are starting to really feel better for Loud.
Yes, with this 4-1 Lucian situation right now, this is starting to look much better unless Jojo right now finds a good hook. He doesn't! He doesn't!
Close.
The only time that the hitbox of Nautilus did not really deliver. A rare occasion.
Yeah, very rare occasion. Happened twice already, and it kind of fools our eyes because we really think it's going to hit every single time. The hitbox is just nuts. Now there's Griftar going out to the top side. They don't really have any knowledge on where Croc is. So just trying to swap those lanes, clear out the wave because, of course, in the bot side with their tier 1 taken down, Robo is starting to do that themselves to push. Now, what is the next course of action here? There is a Herald on the board, still 4 minutes. Oh, there it is. Started out by Loud. I don't think it's going to be contested. Aegis on the other side of the rift.
No, but there is no way for Red to contest it right now. All of a sudden, Loud are starting to feel very confident and comfortable on the Summoner's Rift. Look at how much pressure they have on the top lane, with T-Nones sitting there constantly getting yet another turret for the team, plus the mid lane being pushed in. There is no way that Red have any access to the Herald pit right now. And that's why, yes, as you said, this is going to be an uncontested Herald for Loud. And again, things are starting to look rather good for them. Second item for Loud is coming in. T-Nones already sitting on that Malignance. And the beauty of mid-game Karma, yes, she's still very useful in the exchanges and in the team fights, but you can also send her to the side lanes, and that means you have two split pushers effectively in your team, because Robo has already been sitting on the bot lane for quite some time, but now T-Nones is doing the same on the top lane.
And they can do it, as you said, just the nature of the draft that Loud has got for themselves. Now with their Herald, we'll see what's going to be the next course of action. Most likely going to, do it here in the mid lane. And that is a as we know it in the Brazilian land, now riding out that Bay. That's the Herald in Brazil. Let's go. I don't think we've ever done that anymore. I think it was just a regular season kind of thing. Oh, but Robo goes into the back line. Jojo takes damage. Bronzy almost gets knocked out immediately. But that's going to be a clean tier 1 taken down in the mid lane by Loud.
And it's pretty that the idea there of the offense from Loud wasn't even to take any kills. Yeah, if they'd taken it would have been nice, but they just wanted to secure this turret on the mid lane. And that's such an important turret, because right now all the tier 1s for Red are gone, which opens up the map for Loud massively. And Loud need to open up this map, because right now, yes, they have taken the 3 Void Grabs and a Herald. 2 Drakes, however, have fallen into the hands of Red, and the Mountain Soul is a rather useful one Loud need to fight for the next Drake.
And exactly as you said, Solari, that's the calm of really cleaning out the wave like it's nobody's business. But still, FNB, being a Cassante, can just stand a couple of tower shots and take down the tier 1 top side. One thing that we didn't actually end up talking about was a double TP happening down in the top side. Wait, Bronzy, excuse me, that last auto could have been there, but it wasn't. Oh, okay, Bronzy, no summoner spells right now. Oh, Loud is going to punish you.
Yes, that has to be the Drake for Loud, right? I mean, it's still a minute before it happens, but right now Loud have all the time in the world. Look at how much vision they have already put in the enemy jungle on the bot lane. Look at how many wards there are, and all of them are blue because all of them are coming from the Loud side. Loud want to have eyes everywhere in the enemy's territory. They want to prepare for the next Drake. They need to take the next Drake, and before that, ideally, they would need some more items falling into their pockets, because if you look across the board, 2 items already for Croc, T-Nones, and Route. Good items, but for Route, I'm still not satisfied. I need to see the 3rd item happening for him, because what do we have? Rapid Fire Cannon and Static Shift? No, we need something with more damage. He is going to be shifting into the main damage dealer for the team as the time progresses, and T-Nones moves more into utility player for the team. So it means that Route must get to the 3rd item as quickly as possible.
And that would be an Infinity Edge, if I'm not mistaken. As you said, you have the attack speed, you have the clear wave, and because of the rapid fire, you also have a little bit of extra range, which is really good considering the enemy side composed of Aphelios and Hui. But now Loud with a 4-man push here on the bot side, quickly taking down the wave. Only Graph thought to defend this one. Still a slow rotation from Red, because you have FNB with no TP in the top side. This could translate, as we saw, T-Nones clearing out that wave very quickly into a tier 2 in the mid lane, at least on a half HP. If they want to commit to this one, that would be a 2 tier 2 trade because of FNB pushing out the side lanes. As you said, Solari, the Cassante can rival that, but there's also Robo with the Jax on the bot side that could try and do something more.
I don't think Robo is going to be able to get a tier 2 because Hui is there, but I quite like what FNB is doing at the top lane right now, because he is going to drag some attention from Loud to the top lane. And T-Nones, as you can see on the minimap, is already moving there. The issue is it's not enough to move one member of Loud's team to the top lane. There's still going to be more than enough of them on the bot side of the map. Taking this Drake as we are speaking, finally the first Drake of the game is falling into Loud's hands, and it means no early soul for Red is possible anymore. But for Loud, if they want to go for the soul, it's still going to take quite some time, so we are potentially in for a long game, Sof, and I'm very happy about it.
Oh yeah, as you said, given its Mountain Soul, that would benefit both sides, but definitely more on the side of Red because they have those scaling Hui and Aphelios. Now, given that Loud has finally come back with trying to equalize those objectives, both Void Grubs are split 3-3 for each team. What's going to be the next course of action with no objectives on the board here on the bot side, but definitely a Baron up. There's still too early to be talking about though. Now FNB trying to get something here on Robo, but they're very much aware of it. There's a flank coming out from Jojo and Aegis as well, but it's not going to connect while Loud is fully pushing out of the mid lane.
Loud are just fully pushing out, to be honest. They want to take as much as possible from right side, and they still maintain very nice offensive vision in their jungle, which means they see when red are coming their way and they know when to disengage. But wasn't it a little bit too late? We will see. No, Aegis doesn't manage to hit the Q, which means Loud are free to go after taking tier 2 on the mid lane. That is a very nice prize for them right now. Red are pretty much stuck to their base right now. It's going to be incredibly hard for them to get out from their base and put any vision in or contest the objectives, which tells me that Loud really have their eyes set on the Baron right now.
Oh yeah, they do. They have that positioning here at the top side. Croc trying to get some of that with Tino's in the back line. Gets the Mantra Q on both of them. That's a tether that doesn't get flashed away. Nature's Grasp with a tidal wave that connects. No, it doesn't. Very close. A nice cleanse from Bronzy gets them away. Now Jojo goes onto the rock, gets the dredge line away as well. A nice attempt here after that big rotation on the top side. Now Robo could be taken down with these two here. They have no idea that Aegis is around as well, so Robo has to just try and clear out the wave. FNB could commit to it. I don't think they are. Yeah, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. But they're trying to lure Robo out of the turret. If Robo buys into it and if he gets out of the turret, he is most likely going to be dead. But if he's not, if he's doing a smart thing as he is right now and staying out of the turret, Aegis is wasting quite some time. But now they can commit to this turret and maybe to go into Robo.
They could, and there's Redbird as well to come and help. Now they see the support around and they say, disengage, do not commit to it. This Jax is going to be healing for days and going to be withstanding so much more damage. And unfortunately here for Red, they don't have enough damage there on a Cassante to be able to take down this tier 1 as quickly as they wanted to. Because if they could just go onto Robo. It's not a dive anymore, it's just straight up 2v1. But I think the rotation from Loud now in the mid lane is what makes this a big differential, right, Solari?
Red at least are able to get this tier 1 on the bot lane, so that's helping them out a little bit, but they cannot stay there longer, especially the two of them. You can see Aegis is rotating away from the bot lane because Loud are still very aggressive on the mid lane, and if Loud are aggressive on the mid lane with tier 2 taken there already, you know there is a constant threat of them going towards the Baron. With their items, ideally, just a little bit later would be perfect for Loud, because we're still talking about an LDR not completed for Root, we're still talking about third item, the Crypto Bloom, I assume for Tino, it's not completed yet. If these items happen for Loud, I imagine them going for the Baron pretty much straight away, because they would win a fight around the Baron in the pit.
Yeah, and actually, although I was thinking of an Infinity Edge maybe there for Root, they're going for the penetration instead. Probably going for a Lord Dominix on this one. And I think Red wasted some time there on the bot side. They were trying to get something onto Robo. Yes, it is a powerful player, but then you allowed for Loud to get pressure on your own jungle close to the Baron, which is the main objective.
Which is the biggest objective right now. Yes, the dragons are still going to be important, and by the way, the next drake is going to appear on the Summoner's Rift in less than a minute, and it is still going to be a soul point for Red if they get it. But I would assume that Loud would be fine to trade this drake if it means getting a Baron, because with how aggressively they have already been pushing up to this point, Baron is going to pretty much guarantee an open base for them on the red side, and that is going to be pretty much the game over already unless Red win a miracle fight. Let's be real here about what's going to happen. That's why Red are not committing to the bot side of the map. They also are fine to give away this Drake. They want to protect Baron at all costs.
Yeah, that's a much better decision. Now coming in, Root chipping down on Bronzy. Doesn't waste any of those summoner spells. Still having that cleanse. No, does it? Or is it just a little bit off cooldown?
It's a little bit off cooldown. It's going to be right back.
Yeah, so still having those summoner spells for the big team fight on Baron, which is the most important. Now you have a double camera here for FNB on the bot side for some reason, I guess.
Man was doing the work, okay? Man was de-pushing as much as possible because Robo is not letting them have any rest whatsoever. But this is the whole idea of these Jax, right? And I kind of said that this is going to happen. This Jax is constantly going to be on those sidelines because that is where he is so damn important and useful for the team. And because of that, Red can never group up as 5 members and they cannot have any pressure onto any objectives, but Loud still have the pressure over the whole map, and that's why right now they are rotating 3 of their members towards the Drake.
It's good you want to deny this one because you have that pressure on the top side. You get yourself your second Drake of your game. That would equalize both teams on 2 Drakes each, with again those split 3 Void Grubs for each side, which means that things are very much even, aside from that 300 gold, 3,000 gold ahead, excuse me, that Loud has over Red. Now clearing out that vision, very nicely done by Red on this Baron pit. The river has no blue side. There's no blue vision whatsoever. Loud is going to be going in blind. They have denied most of it. Just behind the pits, there's one for Loud that could mean a difference. We'll see what's going to be the case. Do they commit for it? I think that's a little bit too exposed for Red, but they're not being seen. Now they're trying to get something coming out from a back line. Tino's could engage onto Aegis, but everybody's just very spread around Solari. Now there's a flash away and a ward hop, guaranteeing that that snare doesn't hit from Tino's. Bronzy, oh, that's not a great place to be, but they don't know you're there. No vision, thanks to the fog toggle. What's going to be the next step might be Loud focusing on Baron.
They could, but I don't think they are going to commit to it right now. There is still the Skull Crab from Red, and that's the only vision they have, but that is more than enough vision for them right now, because it's not the one that you can really destroy. Oh, they really want to protect this turret right now. The mid lane Loud are throwing in a lot of resources onto Red, but Red are even committing with a teleport and taking it down.
Yeah, they are. They're going to take that tier 1, so all those cooldowns absolutely wasted. Jojo was almost taken down by those ultimate on Root, TP in the back line. Robo could try and do something, but a little bit late to the party. Still, this was a very interesting push by Red and very well executed.
Yes, and I like it for Red very much, because Loud have such a strong presence on the map right now, but Red are fighting it back constantly. I love their movement around the Baron pit, not committing to anything, not giving away anything, but establishing their own vision control around this part of the jungle, and then immediately rotating towards the turret in the mid lane, getting 8, and again running away from the enemy. Red know when they cannot fight, and that is the moment for them actually right here, right now. Speaking of the third items, it is the same situation for them as it was a little bit earlier for Loud. Still need to find the third item again, most likely a Crypto Blue, my favorite item in the game for Grefthar. So 3 items already on Bronze, including that IE on him, by the way, that you predicted to see on Root, but for Root it's going to be apparently only the 4th item. Right now, however, if Red managed to find those 3 items for Grefthar, 2 items for Aegis, 3 items already on F&B, Red are actually going to be in a really good spot for a team fight.
Oh yeah, because as you mentioned there's a 1.2 thousand gold lead that F&B has over Robo there on the top side, which is remarkable. But things are really relying on the MVP on Red, while Loud definitely relying on to Root.
How does he have the lead?
Yeah, that's...
Turret plates? Because their farm is even, sense. And he even has 1 death compared to Robo, so it has to be just pure turret plates. 1.2k. That's insane, exactly. Guys, really get a turret plate. They're really valuable.
Oh yeah, they're huge. Now on this top side of the jungle, Red has quite a lot of vision, so Loud is going to be spotted easily. And we'll see if they decide to commit to any sort of positioning aggressive. There's Robo and Tino's in the mid lane. But seems like both teams are kind of dancing around. Nobody really committing to any of these engages aside from Croc. They are going to be spotted. So just throwing in a potato in the bush. And again, nothing really happens.
Did you really call it a potato? Is he a farmer?
Potato. It's a
okay,
potato.
Fine. All right, but let's look at it seriously, because look at Greftar's positioning. He's in the top lane. He has a really good spot onto Loud if they decide to commit on them, and we'll have to, because Loud are taking the Baron, and look at how quickly it's going down. Very good ultimate from Croc.
Oh. Yeah, and they baited it out actually, going out for the Nature's Grasp, but Grefta, as what you said, with a CP onto the back line.
Huh?
Aegis falling dangerously as well, so close to being taken down. There's the first kill on the fight, taken down by Robo. Now continuing for a 1-for-1. Next would be FNB. That is going to hurt the red squad. That is your biggest goal in the game. Down. You are 2 members down, and Loud could finish this Baron, but can you this one, Solari?
They can try. They definitely have to try. They still have Greftar, but the problem is they have zero vision in the pit, and it's really dangerous to go in because Loud still have some of their kits available, but no ultimates on anybody, which means they cannot really lock down Red unless they allow themselves to get locked in. The Baron is still going down. Loud still want to take it off.
Yeah, they do. 30% on this Baron. Solari trying to get it, and Red disengages. The Baron gets taken out by Loud after a good fight, getting themselves onto numbers advantage and some of the spells advantages, and Root taking down that Infinity Edge we mentioned. Oh, the Lucian is gonna hurt like hell now.
Oh yes, the 4-item illusion is finally the illusion that has been promised, but we have the replay of what was happening here in this another very chaotic fight, but this time it was very messy from both sides. A lot of damage coming in from Loud, but Aegis is getting very low very early in the game. Robo pretty much the same, but it's interesting how Robo and FNB are pretty much mirroring each other, going very deep into the enemies with no possibility of a follow-up from their respective teams, but for very different reasons, right? We're just busy trying to disengage. Well, for Loud, nobody could really follow up because they're pretty short range and they couldn't really get into the distance where Robo was. But in the end, Loud were a little bit better in this fight, getting down to allow them to get down the burn. And look at how fast they're pushing in now.
Oh yeah, and one thing, Solari, that I want to ask you is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that TP from Grefthal was a little bit delayed. They were on the top side. You mentioned they had a good position, but they decided to reset and TP back, so they won there on the beginning of the fight. Now Loud gets massive pressure.
I think he was just recalling from the jungle. And that was a very weird positioning to me. I looked at it and I couldn't understand why, but I think the idea is because there was no vision for Red in the Baron pit, so they didn't really understand if they could safely pilot Greftar into the pit. So that's why they decided to take the safe route, and that was not the good decision.
Oh yeah, Nature's Grasp going in. There's a bubble that doesn't connect. That has been a staple for this game, unfortunately for Red, but those bubbles are not looking great. But the tidal waves hit, the hitbox is massive. Now going out to the backline, there's an all-out coming out from FNB. Robo goes down. It's a trade of 1-for-1 for both sides. How are they going to play this? FNB dealing a lot of damage. As a shockwave could go on to Team Nose. It could be a great position to take them down, but it's not enough damage. Now Croc is dangerously low. Root still having the front line because he's just so aggressive and so dangerous on the 4th item, as we mentioned. All of Red actually managed that fight really well, considering Loud had a big upper hand.
There is still some weird disconnect happening in Red, or something that is just not clicking to them. I'm not sure what exactly it is, but you can see them going for very aggressive plays onto the enemy's backline, especially Aegis is just constantly looking for those pickups. But Brancy, who is full health for the whole fight, which is what he's supposed to be fair, but he's not really able to follow up with his damage for some reason. He has the blue and the purple gun, so let's see what is happening here. He's a little bit busy at first because there was an attempt for his life from Robo, but right after that, when FNB is going to go in, when Aegis is going to go in, why is Brancy not able to follow up? Because he's a little bit too far from his respective teammates, and on the guns that he has at the moment, he cannot really follow up from where he is. We talked about the short range for Lucian on the side of Loud, but Aphelios is not really great at that too. Greftar! Almost dead!
That was just as close as it could be. Lisa saving that with a shield. Aegis coming clutch. Oh, wow. Greftar 100-0 almost there with the ultimate coming from Root. Now rotating here for the bottom side is Loud. Of course, because Robo is pushing out this wave. That would be the next target. And of course, Tinos has the pressure in the mid lane, pushing out very, very easily.
Now, Soph, I have a question to you. So there is so much shielding and especially healing on the Loud side. Can you please count and tell me how many heal reduction items you see on Red side?
There is, yeah. No. No items. No.
That is the usual issue that I'm having with the teams that are playing against Kama Senna or Karma Nami. Where is the heal reduction? Because you can see again so many times Loud are having missteps in the fight, but they're being forgiven for them because they can shield themselves up and not take the damage that is supposed to be killing them on the spot. And Red are doing nothing about it. I need to see those heal reduction items starting to pour into their inventories because I feel like then the fights will be so easier for them.
Yeah, and I think, for example, one thing that would be essential for them is having that Oblivion Orb on Grafstar. Hui is going to be
Yes.
doing so much AoE, you just basically tag everybody and everyone is going to have the cut healing on them. Unfortunate. Well, what are we doing on these itemizations? Trying to focus on the damage, but we're not taking enough damage. We're not dealing enough damage. And Loud is always surviving with just a little bit of HP. That's your tier 2 taken in the bot side. And everything is open on this red jungle. Only the base still standing.
And the dragon will be standing very soon, so 32 seconds on the timer before the drake is going to spawn 3 dragons already on the right side because they managed to snatch 1 drake right after the Baron fight, but they need 1 more. Loud don't want to give them any chance of getting close to the pit. They're the first ones at the river. No vision again available for Red on the river.
Yeah, because we've seen Red getting vision, but Loud is denying that, clearing the vision. There's a TP coming from Grafstar, going into their own backline to stay safe. Nobody really committing to anything at this moment, but Red decides to push in this wave in the mid lane. Oh, look at Bronzy, how much damage he's doing with these. The red weapon goes in and it deals damage. That's a Nature's Grasp just to get them away, to zone them out. But that's gonna be very necessary for a Drake fight, I would say. That's on cooldown now, Solari. Can they make this happen, or can Red take the soul?
Red can take the soul. They have really good position at the Drake right now, but Loud are going to fight with them for it.
They are. There's some damage coming out from Grafstar, trying to follow it up. Jojo is almost close to dead, and that's a steal from Croc. That's three souls for each team, 3 Drakes for each team, going onto the back line, still taking damage, FNP, but Robo is doing more damage. And now Bronzy has to try and back away. Grafstar also in a very tough position. Croc is going out to them, and deep into the back line they go. Aegis has to flash away. Another kill goes to Root, following it up. Robo with a flash and a stun. Bronzy has to flash away, trying to kite them out. Double kill for Robo, could be a triple, following them down. There's a Nature's Grasp off cooldown just before the fight and into the end of the fight, and an ace confirmed for Loud.
And into the end of the game, quite possibly as well. So look at what Loud are doing. They are pushing into the enemy's base, opening up the base turret on the mid lane, opening up the inhibitor on the mid lane. And look at the death timers. Half a minute for everybody except Jojo. But is it going to be a bizarre adventure for Jojo? Because it's going to be a short one right after that. Loud are taking game 1 in the series against Red Canids.
Oh, look at that, Solari. With a composition that really spelled early game pressure, Loud was able to assert in that. A couple of mistakes here and there. We have to talk about it, of course. But still, what they had in the master grand plan was getting that dominance into presence in the late game. They managed to do so. Red struggled in this early game, although they knew they could just be a little more safe, a little more preemptive. We just have to get Grafstar and Bronzy into the late game. Unfortunately, they didn't quite hit the mark, and Root was just melting them down like it was nobody's business.
Yes, honestly, the beauty of Lucian is that yes, this is a champion that wants to be playing around the early game, but if you get enough gold poured into him, and if you are a good player on the micro level, then you are going to be able to outplay the enemy with the Lucian. I really dislike this champion, but I have to admit that there are ways to pivot him really well into the late game, and Rout is one of those players who absolutely can do so. But I gotta say, the whole Loud team was just on another level when it comes to their macro decisions on the map compared to Red. They always knew when to apply pressure and where to apply pressure. And this pressure was constant on both sides of the map. It is the fact that they were so proactive when it comes to taking down the enemy turrets. They were so proactive with their vision, denying vision to the enemy as well. Red were just always one step behind them.
They were. The clear reads, I agree with you, Solari. Their game plan was very on point, and they have it through the draft as well. I think they really mentioned a steady, Loud playoffs roster in regards to where their mental was, but still, although this was a win for Loud, and I did think they played well, a couple of those decisions, those dives weren't very clean. I don't think they were
Yeah.
very high level of usual Loud we expect. Redbird, I'm sorry, those bubbles were not connecting.
Yeah.
What was happening there? That's very unfortunate because it's one of the things you highlighted when you saw Redbird or Nami. They really get the bubbles going, but they didn't.
Well, they either do get all the bubbles going, or they don't get any bubbles going whatsoever. And I was wondering what game it is going to be today, and unfortunately, it was not a hit. It was a miss game today for Redbird, which is very sad. But to be fair, just in a small line of defense, it is really hard to hit those bubbles on Nami. Usually, Nami wants to play around somebody else's control, and there was not too much control to work around.
Yeah, I think there is a great point there, Solari. But whenever we get the second match ready, reminder, of course, that this is a best of 5, given that we are on playoffs for CBLOL. This is the final semis of the upper bracket. We have a double elimination, and 1-0 up is what I said that draft spoke about loud. Expectations for this next match.
I expect Loud will try to go with something very similar. It is Red who need to rethink their strategy because the draft was good for them. It is just that things were not clicking for them whatsoever. But I still think that their draft could be a little bit improved. I think that they will not allow Karma to happen next time. Karma and Senna need to be off the board for them in the next draft. Other than that, I think it's not even just so much about the draft. It's about having smart decisions on the map and not letting Loud get away unpunished when they make mistakes.
Well, draft execution, we'll see what's going to happen in our second game of this series. Loud versus Red. Loud 1-0 up in our best of 5. Stay tuned. We're going to be right back with some more CBLOL English. Welcome back, everybody, to the second game of our best of five, Loud versus Red. I'm Soshan with Solari after a match that had some potential for Red in the late game, but got shut down by Loud. You mentioned a couple of things that should be changed with draft, with execution. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that Red do have a chance of beating Loud, but they need to be really consistent in their gameplay and they need to not give the same draft for Loud. It cannot happen again. They just were allowed to do too many things and Red did nothing about all the healing and shielding on their side. Well, they did buy some protection for the top lane. FNB had Kenny Kruger and FNB had Jack Show and something else, the Iceborne Gauntlet. So those are the good items into that team composition, but these are not good items enough to deny them the damage and the healing that they had on their side, and nobody else had any thought about what to do with that. So I want these things to be approached by Red in the next game. I want these things to be changed, and I think I want a slightly different draft for Red as well in the next game. I want something a little bit more proactive in the early game, and I want to see them executed to the fullest because Jojo did his best to have things accelerated on the bot lane, and he was rather successful, especially with that pick up onto Redbird in the laning stage. But nothing else was really happening for the team. And I feel like the potential of Lee Sin being in their draft was also wasted because there was nothing he could do on the entire map. So these are my concerns for Red. My concerns for Loud is whether or not Red learned their lesson, because it is going to be up to Red how the next game is going to go.
Oh yeah, and I think one thing about what you mentioned there is draft is going to be different given that the sides are swapped. So now having Red on the blue side, how are they going to play this? Because we saw Loud taking advantage of the blue side to deny a very aggressive early game pick for Bronzy, which was the Lucian. And because of the ban phase being filled with ADCs, that pool shrunk down considerably. Now that Red is on the blue side, how they're going to navigate this, I hope for them that they can make this strategy work, because I agree with you, Solari. Bronzy just works the best, especially with Jojo, if they have early game pressure, if they have the champions to execute early game pressure. Lee Sin was left a little bit afloat, Nautilus was left a little bit afloat, Aphelios just doesn't do as much damage as the Lucian in the early game. It's base stats.
And later in the game, whenever there was a big team fight, you could see just how aggressive Aegis was, how aggressive FNB was, and their idea was to get into the enemy's backline and try to do something there, because if they jump onto Lucian, if they jump onto Karma, it's really hard for them to get away immediately, even though they have their own means of controlling the enemy that are trying to kill them on the spot. They couldn't kill them on the spot, and on top of that, nobody from the team was able to follow up. From the red team, of course, was able to. Feels like every time when there was a team fight, the guns for Aphelios were not really gunning that well. But we'll see if it's going to be the case right now or not, because Red, as he said, on the blue side, this time Loud on the red side. Senna, Varus, and Kalista banned by Red, and Loud are betting out Rakan, Zeri, and Lucian.
I like this. I think once again, we saw Red coming out with the 3 ADCs in their ban phase, but most importantly, Loud taking out the Lucian because they are on the red side just to get that away from Bronzy, considering that Kalista was already out, is perfect. None of the biggest damage dealers of early game, Kalista and Lucian, are available, so Red themselves decide to take the Maokai away from Croc. We know that they play super good on it. And this, Red Loud, so far on the draft, looks like mind games all the way. I deny this, I take this to deny that. Yeah. They get the Nautilus away from Jojo. They also get Talia away from Grafstar. But now that Aurelion Soul that was banned in the second ban phase, it's probably coming for Red.
I want it to come for Red. So far, however, there is a Talia blind pick for Loud, most likely for T-Nones, but unfortunately for us, a Sorrel is going to be hovered to give us a little hope, and then the hope is going to be taken away by Red, because this is going to be Orianna locked in for Grafthar. It is not something I'm mad about, because Grafthar, again, is a really good player of these specific type of champions. He wants to be the controller mage for the team. He wants to have an impact in the team fights, and with Orianna, you can have really good impact in the team fights if you have a good ball carrier, and that is something we are yet to see, because I quite like this Leona just locked in for Jojo as an answer into this Nautilus, something we don't really see that often these days, but again, can be a really big playmaker, plus already adding into the team fight potential that Red have on their side.
I'm very interested, considering most of those ADCs are out, and you have a Leona locked in for Jojo. It makes sense for Loud to take that Kai'Sa. of course, very strong scaler into the late game, especially if you go for the hybrid build. Having so much damage on the W allow you to have the immense amount of safety to snipe people down while also being able to reposition with your killer instinct. That to me leaves a couple of spaces open for Bronzy, for example. With the Leona, it could work out well with the Nephelios. With the Leona, it could work out well with the Xayah. That was also preemptively countered with the fact that Rakan is also out. So this is very, very interesting. I would say very high quality draft in regards to how things are thought through.
Especially from Loud side, honestly. They are taking away so many possibilities from Red just by taking away the champions that they know are comfort champions for Red and banning out the remainers of them. Red are banning out Vi right now. We'd not be surprised if Sejuani again is going to be the second ban for them in the second rotation. Now, last time it was Red who banned it out. It was on the blue side. But again, those two bans really make a lot of sense. But Loud, look at them. They are really targeting Bronze heavily this time. They know he's the main damage dealer for Red. They know it is going to be still the case in the next game because of this Orianna on the mid lane. That's why Smolder and Aphelios both are going to be denied in this game.
And that equals to 7. That's insane. 7 bans out of 10 are ADCs. That is absolutely insane.
So far, actually, in this season, Bronzy only played 10 different AD carries on the bot lane, including Seraphine, who's not really an AD carry, but, you know, I wonder if Seraphine is going to appear today. She's not really a good matchup with Leona there on the bot lane, but Bronzy is really out of options. It's either Seraphine or Caitlyn or Neela,
Xayah.
I think, and that's it. Or Xayah, yes, true.
I think Xayah would be the best option, and again, because you don't need to bend the Xayah, you're ready to count the Rakan, you decide to go for the last bend for Loud, the Aphelios, because of last game. I think it makes quite a lot of sense with what we've been seeing from Loud. And we forgot completely about Jinx, but she usually comes with an enchanter. That's probably why we didn't think about it.
Yes, honestly. It is pretty much the same situation as Zeri. She can play with a hook support or an engager support, but she would rather prefer to have an enchanter next to her because she is so immobile and because she's so squishy that if the enemies get locked onto her, it is really hard for her to find the way out. And there is already a lot of lock potential from Loud with the Lee Sin and with the Nautilus on their side. It's going to be rather hard for Bronzy to operate in these team fights, but Red, so far coming in with lost speed, they are looking in this Renekton for FNB for the top lane, which is a blind pick. I would again love to see FNB playing Jax, but considering that he has to blind the top lane, Jax is not the safest option.
No, and there it is. There it is for Robo again. So a back-to-back on the Jax for Robo in the top lane for Loud. One thing I want to mention, Solari, is that funnily enough, because of how the meta has been going and how enchanters are usually away from it, what you have in regards to enchanter would be like Rakan, the closest bat to it, sometimes the Seraphine. It's actually very common that Red has played hyperscalers like the Zeri, the Jinx, or the Xayah with Alistar, Leona, Nautilus, all that jazz. Even Tom Kent sometimes when it was a smaller pick. So it makes sense. What makes me most excited about this, which is funny because that's Jinx is massive, but what makes me most excited is this is the first time that Bronzy is going to be playing Jinx in the playoffs. And it's the first time that we're going to be seeing them play with Jinx in the better stage that she is of the season now because of those recent buffs, her items, scaling on the creatine attack speed. I'm very interested to see what's going to be the case because, again, it's a game where Bronzy is not playing an incredibly aggressive early game champion. Hyperscaling is something that fell a little short for him in the last game. What do you think has to be the changes in the laning phase to allow Red to do better this one?
I want to see aggression on the top lane. It is going to be really hard for FNB there because Renekton, he can be aggressive and he has really strong power spikes and his power spikes are going to come in earlier than Robo's and they are going to be stronger. The level 2, level 3 trading is much better for Renekton compared to Jax. However, Jax is a problem for Renekton players usually on the top lane because he's not squishy enough for Renekton to cut through. He naturally comes with a lot of tankiness in his kit, so for Renekton, it is not enough damage to cut through him. He would need ideally the jungler to come and help, but jungler is ages today. Oh, that's a cute little duck. Look at this baby. It's going to see some slaughter today on the Summoner's Rift. Be prepared, little duck.
Oh, yeah.
That is not something for the weak. But going back for a second on the top lane, I want to see some aggression there, even though I'm not sure if Red will be able to execute it properly. I want to see some aggression on the bot lane as well, because Jinx can get snowballed rather early in the game, especially having Leon. It's, level 2, we dive like there is no tomorrow, and that's something I would love to see from the red side. But everywhere else, it is just going to be a really hard game for red. So I think you agree with me here.
Oh, I do, Solari. So getting into the rift, it's red Kenneth's on the blue side, Loud on the red, which makes us a little confused. And
That doesn't make any
Solari,
sense.
because it's true, it doesn't. Because that little ducky is in Summoner's Rift, I think he's only a duckling, not a weakling. He's ready for what comes next. That's a battlefield they're on, and they know what is going to happen. It's on the script for League of Legends. Now, both teams just trying to get some of that early vision. So Red got some of that just close to the Raptors. If I'm not mistaken, that was also one placed by Croc close to the enemy's Raptors, but I couldn't see it because the mini map just shows big Lee Sin face, and I can't really tell.
He's just too big. He's covering the whole map in there. But no, there is no word. So he hasn't been spotted. So there is less understanding for red. Or maybe they removed the word. I am not sure. I don't know, but what I know is that they don't see right now. And oh my god, the ignite from Redbird is already gone.
That's insane. Very quick aggression here. And although both of these ADCs are very much on the scaling side, the supports are very interested in going for aggression. They're both big engages. That quick level 2 going out for red. Loud have to retreat. There's a zap coming through. So we know what is the kit for Jinx at this moment. But neither of the junglers really looking to get any aggression here on the bottom side yet. There's a quick reset coming from Croc, actually, on the Lee Sin, so it's very possible that could be like a level 3 gank on the bot side. We'll see.
Quite possibly. However, it also means that Aegis is going to be on the bot side as well. If he is not going to... Yes, he's... I believe he hasn't been spotted on this ward up until the very end, so there is no understanding for Loud where he is right now, but they have to recognize it since he hasn't been spotted yet, and the Raptor is outstanding. He started from the top side of the map, most likely. And it means that he is going to be on the bot side of the map by the time the Scuttle is going to spawn, which means if Croc wants to have anything happening on the bot lane, it's going to be very hard. I love this cat so much. The eyes!
Look!
What is this cat saying? It's saying it's going to be a bloodbath.
Oh yeah, Solari, yeah it is, because it's red, it's loud together, and look at both bot laners, both supporters, of course, going out for the early rotation. And you mentioned it, there was some good read from Loud in regards to how they got that early vision, although I don't think that Aegis was spotted. They're both rotating to the same side of the map right now. Still a little bit behind on actually getting any engages. But we mentioned that Jax could withstand some of those hits. So far, FNB is punishing.
Yes. Again, this is pre-level 6 for Nekken. He can do a little slicey and dicey into the enemy, and it's going to hurt quite a lot. Speaking of things that hurt quite a lot on the bot lane, Jojo!
Oh, that's close for a Sonic Wave, Solari. Very, very close, but doesn't really make the mark. And of course, because we had that very early engage from Redbird with the Ignite, it makes a huge difference. Now, top side, Robo going out of mana is definitely an advantage for Renekton. And no mana in the pool, no problem.
Yes, no matter, no problem. He's going
That's
very
insane.
aggressive on the Robo.
Wow, I thought that would be too dangerous for comfort, but they still get some potions. It's fine.
Yes, the potions, the cookies, all those interesting things that allow you to stay alive on the lane, but not for long. If FNB continues like that, he cannot really commit into a tower dive onto Robo. Of course, he doesn't have enough damage. He is already chipped down a little bit by the turret shot, but he can continue pressuring Robo and bullying Robo up until level 6. That's when I wonder if things are going to change on the top lane.
Yeah, and that's also around the time where we're going to be seeing, as we are level 5 now, where we're going to be seeing both junglers rotating to the top side, getting close to those void grabs spawning as well. There is a TP for Robo to come back to lane, as FNB is very much looking to push here, but it's Red who take the upper hand, the lead in taking those void grabs. But I think for this map in particular, Solari, Red and Loud, they haven't focused that much on Void Grab Dispute, just as I say it. They could go over the wall here, Croc to steal it. Oh, nice, Smite. That was good. Okay.
Okay. So two so far for red. They should be able to get a third one if they no, they will not actually be able to get the third one because Robo is rotating from the top lane. Croc is here as well. So at least one of those little mites is going to go into Loud's pockets, which means six is not possible for red anymore, but they can still go for five if they want to. In the previous game, we didn't see that. We saw a very equal, very fair 3-3 distribution.
Nice dodge out from Jojo, and that's the Zenith's Blade going in, taking quite a lot of damage. Jojo has to flash away, no summoner spells, and the Ignite taking down. That's one hit, and it goes to Root. First blood for Loud, could become another one, but the dodge is there, flashing away Bronzy just behind the minions, denies the hook, but still, what an immense engage here for Loud.
A lot of summoner spells. Well, pretty much all the summoner spells were burnt in this exchange on the bottom. But well, if it guarantees you the first blood, it is worth it, say loud. And they get the first blood for Root again for the second game in a row already. This 80 carry is the one getting the first blood, and that guarantees Loud the first streak of the game as well. A really nice exchange from them here. Very aggressive moves from Jojo, just going in into the enemies like there's no tomorrow. But because they're a little bit isolated from the minions, the Q from Rout is going to land onto the enemies and it's going to deal a lot of damage.
Well, and that's an ultimate coming out from FNB just to say, okay, you're coming back to base. We're going to force you out. There are platings available, many of them that we saw that were crucial for FNB to keep on growing and get the lead in gold. They are doing it just as well once again. So nothing new under the sun in regards to FNB's consistency.
Yes, it could be that if Redbird decides to go in, but honestly, there is no good opening right now, and another wave is coming in for FNB. Not a good recall for Robo, considering he doesn't have a TP available. Maybe he's just trying to lure FNB under the turret to try to go for some silly aggressive moves, but FNB is smarter than that. He's going to disengage. He knows the wave is big enough for him to do whatever he wants, and he wants to see some stuff around him. And it's good time to see some stuff around him because the grabs are going to spawn in 2 minutes, and Croc is on the bot lane. Does he know that he has been spotted?
Now he does. Wow.
Ooh.
Baiting out the twist advance very far away, but it still connects. Now that's a flash away from Croc with that Nature's Grasp, snaring Croc away, forcing that summoner spell is very important. But because, of course, in this bottom side of the map, the first Drake was already taken by Loud, not much to be focusing here.
Yes, it's again just the void crabs that maybe the ultimate could be used for mages to help secure them, but not really. It's not really an objective that usually we see. America is deciding to invest the ultimate in. It's not that big of a deal in the end, so not really too bad of the news for Red. What is bad news for Loud, however, is what FNB is doing on the top lane. He is proxying the lane like there is no tomorrow. Guy just thinks that he's playing Uri or something because look at that, he's even waiting for the second wave. And this recall for Robo is going to be rather painful right now. He has to recall, obviously, because he is really low in health and it's dangerous to stay there and nothing to do for him. And he will have to walk all the way back to the base because he has not TP available. But with Croc around, they could have tried to do something. The problem is FNB sees, FNB knows, FNB is smarter than that.
Oh, yeah, he can smell the blood. And Lee Sin is around, and of course, because of that good positioning there in Vision, they knew they could just go for the proxy, as you said, and still keep safe. Now, this bottom side is Aegis, focusing once again to try and deny that growth from Root that is one up in kills. Of course, the only kill on the board so far on the map for Loud and for anyone. Still looking like a different game when we had so much aggression in the last one.
We still have some aggression on the bot lane, just to be fair, and we have some aggression on the top lane as well. But yes, we don't see that much action as we saw in the previous game. Just one kill so far, approaching 10th minute in the game, and the gold is dead even between the teams. You can see that even though there was this first blood gold influx for Loud, top lane, for example, is being neutralized by what FNB has been doing to Robo. Spoiler, bullying the poor guy. And by the mid lane, where Greftar, just by being Orianna, is feeling rather fine. He has enough range into Tinone's Talia. He has enough aggression for Talia to be a little bit cautious about how she's approaching Orianna. But now, speaking of approaching things, how are both teams going to approach these Void Crabs?
Oh yeah, and it
Or
was started out by
Bronzy?
Croc. Oh, Bronzy, you're alone. That's red, but that's a Nautilus. You got the Chompers in. No minions. All right, I think they are very much okay. The summoner spell gets burned. That's a ghost out for Bronzy. But still, when the wave
Okay.
crashes, Bronzy has to that's the takeoff. You cannot be here. You gotta concede those platings. Your support is still taking some time to come back. But Bronzy is returning. Could they be that? Oh my God! Flash over the wall and a hook, but there's an preemptive flash as well coming out from Bronzy, going in. That's a depth charge, gets the damage, and that's Tino's coming out with an incredible flank. The TP comes from Gravita, but it's a little late compared to the rotation on Talia. Now Jojo gets the stun. That's a Zenith Blade, and this turned into a 2-for-2. Almost taking another one, and what a messy fight. Now top side, there's Nature's Grasp going straight onto Robo, no minions to go in, taking damage. FNB, they decide to disengage.
They decide to disengage because they cannot really go after Robo. Unfortunately, they would love to, of course. But right now, if they don't go under the turret, it means that they get the turret itself. And that is a little bit more important than trying to get the gold from the enemy's top laner. Oh, Bronzy, my poor guy, get away.
Oh, knock up. Oh, it doesn't connect, but there's the Sonic Wave, and it does. Very nicely done. A quick and swift, successful gank here. Okay. We talked about not enough action. Well, here it is.
Yeah. We kind of jinxed it, but in a good way, and I'm not mad about it whatsoever. Let's have a look at the replay on the bot lane. It is good news for Bronzy that Jojo is coming, but this move from Redbird, even though Bronzy flashes it out perfectly, it is not good enough because first of all, there is an ultimate available for Redbird, and it doesn't matter if he dies or not if he manages to press R before that. Second of all, a really nice rotation from Tino's. He comes with really low mana, but it was enough mana for them to secure the kill onto Bronzy, and that was a very important kill because what is happening right now for Loud and what is going to continue for some time for Loud is them bullying Bronzy, and that is important. Bronzy is, yet again, he's just sitting on the static sheaf right now. He's waiting for his call to be completed. He is not a fighter just yet, and he doesn't want to be bullied.
Oh my God, there's an ulti coming out from Leona, getting Tino's in a bad spot. That's gonna be a killed mid laner. And Red gets a kill for Bronzy. It's huge. Now Redbird is going to meet people in the middle, not in the greatest of positions. Rude has to use that over the wall to get back into lane safely. So far, Red picking up the base. Oh, trying to get another one with a hook, but Redbird goes wide.
Just a little bit wide, but it was enough width for Ray to disengage immediately. The Drake is going to be, oh, I have the Hex Soul this time. Now that is important because you can see that Loud are sitting on the 2 dragons right now. Might be sitting on 2 dragons and dead Greftar Croc.
Oh, could it be?
Wow.
Shockwave to get them away. They don't get the second Sonic Wave. So it's a Remus thumbs up and a leave.
Yes, not much she can do afterwards. You got the shockwave out of Oriana, but the cooldown is not too big for you to be very happy about it at the moment. On the top lane, however, is this the revenge on the FNB finally coming to the top lane? Because FNB is still really dominant there. He is leading in terms of the minions. He is 1 level up compared to Robo, rather like half a level, to be fair. But it's 11th level, and that is a very important difference between the top laners. However, we're yet again approaching the point where this Jax is going to be absolutely crucial for the team because of the counter-strike, because of the flank potentials, and because of the split push Robo is going to execute. While Renekton, he feels less and less useful later in the game if he's not fed.
TP in the back line to try and get a flank onto Robo, taking quite a lot of damage. 3v1 is going to be a kill. Even Aegis was around to make sure that was going to be the doom of them. But Solari, I didn't even notice. Red has confirmed the 5 Void Grubs, and that could mean quite a lot for a split pushing composition. Goes in with a Sonic Wave with an Insac, and that is going to be a 1-for-1 traded. 1 in the mid, 1 at the top.
Okay, this is the game of incredible turret dives and a very scary turret dives. I quite like it, I gotta say. It is a very good pickup on the mid lane, allowing Loud to take this turret on the mid lane. However, what is happening on the top lane is unattended by Loud, and those 5 Void Grubs that you just mentioned a little bit earlier, combined with Jinx's ability to take down turrets rather quickly, get excited, and run away from danger immediately after she takes down a turret, it is not good news for Loud, because Red are doing much better things on the map right now compared to game number 1 that we just saw from them. They know that they need to be pushing proactively now that they have those 5 Void Grubs, and they are utilizing it very nicely.
Much stronger stance from Red. I totally agree, Solari. And there was a pen over there by our observer on the bot side to that tier 2 on the Red camp that is also very low. So some pressure was kind of matched around the map. And because that tier 1 was also opened by Loud in the mid lane, that allows for more rotation and more vision that we saw the Loud can utilize really well.
But can Red do the same? That is the question. Because right now, for both teams, it's going to be about how good they move around the map and how good they get to Grifter. No,
Oh, knock up, and that's
no.
a dead grab star. Again, Loud has been really on point on those rotations. Red has gotten much, much better on how they respond, much quicker, but Loud still taking the first moves.
Ooh, we have a replay from long ago, actually, with Robo dying on the top lane. Very nice ultimate from FNB. I love how it happened right after I said that, Renekton needs to be fed on the top lane. And right after that, he goes in and he's the one to get the kill there on the top lane. Then some action from the mid lane. Of course, poor Grifter is not having a fun game today. He was feeling rather confident during the laning phase, but right after that, he is getting picked one by Loud. And that is what Loud's composition is best at, honestly. Look at them. They want to be picking up the enemies. They might even be better than a team fighting.
Yeah, yeah, they really want to get pickoffs onto Red. And I agree with you, Solari. There is something about how they are executing dives in this game that feels much more clinical, especially on that one we saw in the mid lane just now. Now there's a into the mid lane coming out from Red, but there is a hook from Red, but Nature's Grasp knocking it out in place, and the Super Mega Death Rocket to finish it off as they are excited. This is a just as down tier 1. So Red trades it back, and the TP from FNB back to the top side. No, actually from Greftar, excuse me, to the top side to deny that push from Robo.
They can't really rotate FNB right now. To be fair, they need to keep him on the bottom because they need to have some pressure to answer what Robo just did to them. And again, Robo will continue to do these things. This is Jax. Jax wants to be split pushing into the enemies. Oh, a very interesting TP is coming in. No vision is available for Red on this side, but now they're going to see that Robo is there. Loud have a really good position for this Drake, and it's going to be the third one for them if they take it.
Very, very important. They're gonna get much damage if they take this one, setting themselves for the actual soul hex. That's so important. Falling down to 50%. Nobody really to be seen on the side of Red, and that's a give on a soul point.
That was such an unfortunate timing for Red because they all had to recall, and you could see on the minimap they actually were recalling exactly when Loud was starting to take this Drake. Bronzy had the call completed. He really needed to go back and get this second item. Now that is a Jinx that is going to have a much better game than before because it is static plus the Kraken Slayer on top of it. And Red really need to be playing around this power spike for Bronzy. They need to be protecting this Jinx at all costs. They need to be looking for good team fights for the Jinx and just dancing around the possibilities of Bronzy. But it's not going to be easy because yet again, Loud are not really giving them opportunities for a good 5-on-5 team fight.
They're not. They're not. But at the same time, if we look at the graph in gold, there is 33.3 thousand for Red and 33.2 for Loud. They are just dead even, which is incredibly funny considering that there are 3 Drakes stacked for the side of Loud. That feels very, very dangerous in the lane.
Yeah. We need Trajan right now because he would not like the gold graph. He would be like, oh, that is the most boring gold graph I've ever seen. If you only could have a look at the gold graph. But yeah, it is that even Loud did have some gold lead just a little bit earlier, but now it is completely gone because look at the top lane. It is all again coming down to FNB. This guy is just taking all the gold into himself non-stop.
Yeah, they are. And Red is looking to push this tier 2. There's Aegis could be going for the backline with the Nature's Grasp. This tower is melting down. Nothing that they can do here on the side of Loud. There's a Twisted Advance going in. Some of their slow Nature's Grasp to zone them out just to allow more space for Bronzy. They're taking a very frontline stance on this Jinx, trying to get as much damage as possible, especially with the 5 Void Mites they have available. There's a knock-up that goes on to Bronzy. A Super Mega Death Rocket that doesn't really do as much damage. Now that's one taken back 1-for-1 on this team fight. And if that Super Mega Death Rocket was used right now, could have taken Robo, but that's not the case. There's a minion wave to take this tier 3 down.
Is this a base
Jojo
race?
taking damage. Is this going to be a base race? As you said, there's Tino's on the back line of the Red base, and now Robo trying to go in. No, actually, Roots trying to go in, flashing forward with a Q, and they managed to take the shutdown onto FNB. Still continuing the chase. It's Robo. Tino's comes in with a weave and almost getting there in time. Robo, are you so close? It's the Jinx. The Hextech brother is there, and she escapes. Or does she? Solari, they're still chasing a Zap to go in, but it's a Jax versus an ADC. Brancy gets shaken down. Jojo could be next. There's a flash and a lovely escape for Jojo.
That was close. How many kills did Loud get in the end in this whole weird prolonged exchange between them and between their bases? Because weirdly enough, the whole fight on the bot lane around this base turret, it was 4 versus 5. Loud, we're having T-Nones all the time on the top lane of the enemy base, destroying the base turret right there. So in the end, the exchange in turrets is 1-for-1, but the exchange between the players is not fair, and the team fight was not fair, yet Red still managed to lose it. The beginning was okay, not a very good shockwave, let's be fair. It could have landed so much better considering how close the whole space is, but after that, Red decided to continue. They decided not to address the problem of Talia on the bot lane apart from rotating Greftar, which was way too late, let's be fair. They decided to stay there to get the turret down, and because of that, they waste so much time and give so much time for Loud to continue the advance onto them. Because honestly, Loud have this time. They don't have to worry about the base. They have already deep pushed it into the enemy. This turret that was taken on their base on the bot lane doesn't matter that much, and they can continue going for Red.
That was such a good push for Loud. It was very, very good. But because, as you mentioned, they have such a steady form of gold onto FNB, 1.5 thousand ahead just alone for Red, that has been keeping Red afloat. But just tell me how much that Tino's is ahead on that gold chart. Okay, it's Santander. I'm sorry. I
gold
just
chart.
asked something. I just asked something to Solari. Well, that's rude.
Well, we have at least a gold graph right now to look at, right? And you can see that Loud was
True.
having those peaks, and right now they're finally back at this peak because we're talking about around 2k gold lead for Loud. It is not much, and again, it is being almost neutralized by those almost, okay, now it's 1.5k for FNB, but the biggest difference is on the other players. AD carries are even, that's good news for Red, but on the mid lane, Talia is so much ahead compared to Orianna, and you can see the difference in the items reflecting it. 1.5 items for Grevtar, 2.5 items for T-Nones. T-Nones is almost on Crypto Bloom. T-Nones is going to be so much, well, he is already so much stronger than Greftar. This is a worrying sign.
It really is, and it's showing out in the scores as well. 3-2-2, and
Speaking
there's a
of-
weave coming out, splitting Red away. There's a TP in the backline trying to get close. Root is going to take down Aegis. Now another one could be next. FNB's in the backline, very dangerous on that Renekton, but they're gonna get shut down. Another kills go to Tino's. It could be a third triple kill for Loud's mid laner, and that hook doesn't land. Grafstar escapes, but this is looking very promising for Loud.
Yes, especially because there is Drake alive on the map. Soften is going to be the fourth Drake for Loud. This is going to be the Hex Soul, one of the most overpowered souls we have in the game right now. Interestingly enough, yes, triple kill went to T-Owens, but Rout was the one having dealt the most damage in this game. Well, Talia is not about damage, to be fair. Talia is never supposed to be about damage, and I didn't expect T-Owens to have such a perfect game on Talia this time. But well, when you have these items, when you're so good with your champion, I guess it just comes naturally to you.
Oh, it does. It does. And we mentioned how great the macro had been for Loud. Talia is a great macro champion, and that's what they do in executing it well. Now pushing out in the mid lane with that Baron buff. Although I actually thought it was going to be a Drake and a Baron for Loud, it was only the Baron taken. That's the soul that could be stolen by Red. Now Loud is pushing them away. Robo is going to get them between a rock and a hard place. Now going on to Bronzy, just between a Jax. And in the mid game, you have that shockwave hitting, almost taking down Croc. That's a stasis from Grafstar and just about dead. Going out to the back line, Jojo is going to get taken as well. And Loud says, thank you very much for the leash.
Yes, they say thank you. We get the Drake. We also have the Baron on us. We have the Soul right now of the Hex Dragon. We are so damn ready to take game number 2 for ourselves, and they are on the way to do that, honestly. But we praised a lot the top lane, the mid lane, the bot lane for Loud. Redbird is having a really fantastic game right now, especially compared to his Nami that really didn't have the best performance in the previous game. His hooks right now are so good at controlling the enemies and not letting FNB get onto Root and onto Tino. He knows exactly what his job as Nautilus is right now. It's not really to be the engager. It's not really to go into the enemies. They have to listen for that. His job is to make sure that the backlane stays alive, and he's really good at peeling for his AD carry.
Doing extremely well, Solari, because when you, as you mentioned, they have the rest of the team to go into the backline, and I think Robo is pulling out exquisite flanks every single time. Going on to Branty. On that fight for Drake, we didn't have a replay for it, but Oh my god, Brancy was literally a Jinx versus a Jax for, 2 whole seconds, getting them
Hmm.
to 10% of HP. Holy, how do you feel after something like that happens to your ADC? The mental gets a little bit collapsed.
A little bit. It cannot. They cannot afford the mental to go down at all.
Mm-mm.
But unfortunately, that is the harsh reality. And I like how FNB is trying to adjust to what is happening. What is happening, let's be fair, is the onslaught of red executed by Loud, because they are at a 3-lane siege onto Red's base right now, with an inhibitor already open on the top lane and destroyed on the bot lane. They just want to get rid of the mid lane as well, and the base is going to be completely open for the taking for them. However, FNB is having at least the Sterks right now, so he is feeling a little bit more. Sorry, Death Dance. Oh my goodness, he's feeling a little bit more protected. Or is it Sterks? Wait, I'm going completely crazy. I don't understand what this little icon is, but this is a more protective item for him, which helps him. He is the only big front line for the team right now. But is it going to be enough in this fight? That might be decisive, and it is coming. Soft. It is coming. Loud, hungry for blood. They're hungry for the victory number 2.
They smell it in the water, Solari. Loud with all inhibitors down on the side of Red, and a about 5.5 thousand Baron buff power play, especially with those Hextech gates to get them out of safety. They feel comfortable enough to keep on in this lane. There's a super minion wave coming through. There's a Nature's Grasp that only hits on the tank, and it might be a dead tank. Red Boy goes down. 1 kill goes to Bronzy. Now Croc trying to escape. They can't. Jojo takes it down, and they might have overextended. Trying to get some more is Bronzy. Those rockets are really doing damage now. But then you have a good parry coming out from Robo. There's Tinno's on stasis. He just could be taken, and they are. Root is just the saving grace of Loud. There is a 3v1, and the game is just about finished.
8-19 marks the second victory for Loud in this series. Soft, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to have a suspicion this is going to be a quick 3-0 series for Loud, which is very unfortunate because I don't think we talked about predictions for this series, but I did predict Red Canids to win. And I wasn't in the majority among the casters. There were only like 3 of us, I think, who predicted Red Canids to win.
Mhm.
But I feel like my points are bye-bye after this series. Oh, thank you very much, production. Yes, 4x4, Solari, and Trajan. Remember these names because these are the 3 losers that didn't really understand what's going to happen in today's series.
Let's be fair. We came to today thinking Red has the best composition and the best stance they've had in a while. They're coming into playoffs strong. They had 3-game sweep onto loss, with FNB taking 3 MVPs for the Brazilian main broadcast in a row. You guys had great thoughts. Brancy has been performing super well, Jojo as well, and it's not finished. It's not like this was the end of the series right now. It felt like a very consistent and overwhelming performance there by Loud, but there's still places to go. So we'll see if Red is going to be able to pick it up, get the pace back on track for the game 3 of our best of 5. Stay tuned. We're going to be right back.
hold our heads up high and beat the drum to what we love. Risk the fall, or we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of the world that we defy. A solo ride of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last light.
Welcome back, everybody, to the potential final game of the day. Loud is on 2-0 up in our best of 5. I'm still Surfchan, she's still Solari, and we mentioned a couple of things that could have been changed by Red. Do you think that Loud just denied it?
They did, honestly. Even during the draft, they did deny so many good and conventional picks for Red that they had to go with something much more things that they're not really experienced with, right? Especially the Jinx for Bronze. And Bronze did have a really good play on that Jinx, especially in the end in this final fight when we saw a glimpse of hope for Red because Jinx got excited and they were getting some kills for her and for the team in general. But Loud were just, again, they were ahead and they were always at least one step ahead of Red when it comes to the draft, when it comes to the picks, when it comes to them moving around the map. Because in this game, it looked like Red had some chances. And they had more chances than in game number 1 because FNB was having a situation on the top lane, and everywhere else it looked rather fine except for the first spot that went into Root's hands. But after that, again, it is the mid game when Loud decide to take control in their hands, and after that Red have no saying in what is happening. And I feel like especially there's two dragons in the very beginning of the game that went into the pockets of Loud. They made the situation so much worse for Red, because the moment this Hex Soul happened for Loud, there was no going back for Red anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. You're totally right, because there's something that differentiates getting kills, getting good advantage that can always fluctuate, and a buff that will stay there permanently in your game. So giving that, as you mentioned, one of the most powerful of the Dragon Souls makes a huge difference for Loud. They played it well, because I think Red could have potentially denied it, considering that Loud didn't take the Baron plus Drake at the same time with a split rotation. That could have been a space. There might have been a space, but then we really saw Loud executing those team fights very well. And I agree with you, much of that comes from how they managed to deny the draft that Red feels comfortable with. So let's bring that prediction again on screen so we can have an idea how things are looking, because I'm still a little bit confident on what I saw, but you have some different opinions maybe.
Yeah, I do. I'm not confident with my prediction anymore. I do think that Red had a chance against Loud. I wasn't 100% bought. It wasn't, a yes, go Red, they're taking it down. But it was like, yeah, Red actually maybe have a decent chance of taking Loud down, especially if they have prepared for this series. But it does feel like Loud did their homework so much better, because they're playing directly against Red. They're playing on their own mistakes. And they are executing things that Red want to be doing so much better, because in game number 1, we saw Red being a little bit more about the team fights. In game number 2, we saw Loud executing the pick composition, and both of them, again, a little bit messy from time to time, but overall a better execution and better movements around the map overall compared to Red Khanate.
I think overall, macro has been the highlight for Loud, and especially that draft you mentioned. Strategy is on their hands. Stardust is doing a good job as a coach, because every single time the strategy is on point. Now, Red, we mentioned so many things that Loud was doing correctly, denying on draft, denying on early game, and still we saw the gold graph staying afloat for Red, mostly because of FNB's performance. But still, how has Red really taken themselves into a position where they can actually be even for most of the time? There's one mistake in a very fortuitous moment. That's when Loud strikes. They know how to hit the nail on the head. They know how to apply salt to the wound. And Red is falling a little short on it. We know they have the potential. We know this could be a game 4 or a game 5. But some things have to be changed. Some things have to accommodate the player styles better, because Bruncy is not allowed to perform as he can with the hyperscalers he's been given.
So far, I feel like what is this divide between the top lane and the bot lane for Red is a blessing and a curse for them. A curse in sense of what you just mentioned. Bruncy is not being able to play. He's not getting enough resources. He's denied by the enemies. At the same time, FNB on the top lane is getting so much gold into him. What if they try to reverse it? What if they try to give FNB something more proactive, something with more agency on the top lane, something that can stand for itself and be the playmaker for the team? Because FNB can play, there's top laners. I just want to see it happening this time. No more Renekton's, no more Xantes. Give this guy a gun!
Give this man an Aatrox. Give this man the Jax, right? Give this man what he can play on. Even sometimes the Gragas has been coming through, but especially the Jax plus Aatrox potential there.
Yeah.
One thing that has changed so far, Solari, is the ban phase. Consistent for Loud in maintaining those 3. Oh no, actually, not 3 ADCs anymore. You have the Orianna ban targeted there for Grefstar, and on the side of Red, they go for Renata Glask, Lucian, and Nautilus, with the first B1 for Loud, a Varus.
So Varus was a consistent ban for the 2 first games. Now it is finally been released, and Loud see the opportunity. They seize it. Is another early game oriented AD carry for Route, of course, depending on what the build is going to be. If we see Lethality Virus, it's going to be more of a slightly more scaling potential champion, but we will see again if the situation will allow for Lethality Virus to even play in this game, because so far Red go for Talia for themselves for the mid lane for Greftar, but also they have picked Rel. We don't know yet if it's for Aegis or for Jojo. This is the beauty of Rel, the beauty of the red side. You don't know where exactly she's gonna go and how to prepare for it.
It's very nice having the flexibility. Looking at the recent games, though, for CBLOL, I would wager this goes to Jojo. Most of the tanky champions are usually going towards them. And overall, we've had plenty of Vi games for ages that we haven't been able to see so far, because all of the second round of bans have focused the Vi. Now, for what we have on the screen, it is the Varus plus Alistar. That again, I just feel like it's something that Red plays well. And I believe Loud is taking that opportunity to, okay, we're blue side, we take what you want and you have to try and counter us. Good response from Red as well to deny Tino's of that Talia. That was amazing. It was horrific. So good. But Solari, I have bad news. There's a Harbor and a Renekton for FNB. And I know you're not going to be happy to see it locked in.
I know that now they have an opportunity to ban out Jax and not give away too much to the enemy at the same time, but why Renekton and why even pick the top lane of all things right now in this first rotation of the picks? I have questions to why Red decided to go into this. I feel like with so many things already open from the Loud side, they could have safely gone for an AD carry even right now for Brunsey, secure something good, because we know for a fact that Loud can target Brunsey right now and take away something from his comfort kit.
At the same time, I think maybe they're just so comfortable with what FNB can do and what he has done on the Renekton. We don't think he was a problem, but we were trying to see these players shine in the best of strategies and play style that they thrive on. At the same time, if you give away that ADC now, it allows for Loud to just basically ban out everything that works well with that ADC. So we're thinking what is going to be the next case here, and it's also a prop to you that mentioned that flexibility for Rel, given that Loud still banned the Rakan. We'll see what's actually going to be the pick here. And an Olaf band from Robo, which I actually love.
Yes, I love it for Red, because Robo on Olaf into Renekton would be absolutely deadly for Red. And just in general, Robo on Olaf would be very deadly for them. But that means they're logging in Ashe. I am hoping this is an Ashe for Jojo, but what is it going to be then? Ashe Sen... Wait, Senna is not banned. Is it gonna be Ashe Senna bot lane?
Could be Ashe Senna, could be Ashe Caitlyn.
Could be
for
Ashe
the
Caitlyn.
Extra,
True.
Yeah, for the extra poke range. Huh. Alright.
I haven't seen that in ages, I'm going to be honest with you.
Oh man.
But Loud are not kidding around. That's going to be Gragas locked for them.
Yeah, I kinda mentioned it, but I think I was talking about
FNB.
Yeah, that's funny. Alright, there we go. It's the Gragas for Robo instead, which I like because Robo in this series in particular... Oh, it's open. Hold on. Hold that thought. Hold the horses. It's locked in. Tino's playoffs plays Aurelion Sol.
I am so happy. I love dragons. Not Smolder, maybe that much, but Aurelion Sol is a different story. That is such an interesting mid laner. And I feel like, yet again, he suits into what Tino's wants to be doing. And now the team can be playing around those team fights, around the upgraded ultimate from Tino's. That is going to be really interesting. Seraphine, the Queen of Poland, is back, everybody. That is Seraphine Ashe bot lane.
I can literally hear Rose from the astral plane, our producer, saying, I told you, I thought there was going to be a Seraphine. And if I'm not mistaken, I did mention to Rose, there was a Seraphine pick for Red once.
For Brunsey.
Once, and it was for Brunsey, exactly. It wasn't as support, but this is different. This goes to Jojo. All right. The strategy here seems to be poking, but at the same time, protecting? I'm not very sure. It's a little mixed for the side of Red.
Yeah. So I quite like it actually for the bot lane of red, because the idea for Loud is that yes, there is Varus who is very proactive and who is very deadly during the early stages of the lane. At the same time, there is Alistar, because this Rel might still go on the bot lane. If not Rel, there is most likely going to be another engaging support for red. That's what we assume is going to be happening there, and Alistar is going to be really good into both of them, providing a lot of protection for Varus. However, red right now are going with an exactly opposite idea. We don't want to be engaging into you. We're going to have so much range and so much poke and shielding and healing at the same time on our side that it's going to be really hard for you to say anything for us. The amount of control this bot lane has on the side of red is incredible. Because if you think about it, there is a slow already on Ashe on her auto attacks, on her W whenever she hits the enemies with those. And all Seraphine needs to prop the root on her E is for the enemies to be already slowed down. So she doesn't even need to wait for her passive to come up. She just roots them on the spot. It is a really deadly combination. And ideally in this scenario, Varus should not even be allowed to farm at all.
You're right. And on top of that as well, we have Croc on the Volibear, not posing the same threat. Okay, look at that Aurelion Soul we haven't seen in a while. That was banned previously this series. Going into the third game of our best of 5, Loud on the blue side, Red Cannons on the red, to make things much more comfortable for the casters. But Solari, what I was mentioning was being on the Volibear, you don't have as much of a presence as a Sejuani, as a Lee Sin. They can take advantage of it on the side of red, like you mentioned.
Ideally, as a Volibear, you don't want to be too proactive in the early game. You can, of course, you can just wee onto the lane and try to help out your laners. But in an ideal scenario, you want to be waiting for a level 6, because level 6 is a massive gank possibility opener for Volibear, because you can turn down the turrets, you can jump in as a huge Panzer Bjorn, and everything just starts working out your way, and you're very deadly. And honestly, Volibear is going to be a very, very big problem for red to deal with, because he is incredibly annoying to try to cut through. He's very tanky, he deals a lot of damage in the process. Turning down the turrets is another thing that you really can be really annoyed by. But as you said, yes, he's most likely not going to be too proactive around the lanes, and that is bad news for Root and Redbird, because they will need some help here on the bot lane. They can set up a gank, but they need somebody to actually come for that gank, because if it doesn't happen, this is going to keep happening, bullying from the Red's bot lane.
Yeah, they can do it. Oh my god. It was one of the first picks, right? The Varus plus Alistar. They played on it very, very well for Red. And one thing I want to highlight here, and just bring your attention to, is the fact that we had a ward from Loud scouting their own jungle and also the enemies. I don't think we've seen that so far in the series, which I think is a good step up from Loud. So they know they have to be a little more safe, so they're trying to prepare for it.
Yes. And Red also started the game with their ward on the red side. They haven't spotted Croc yet, but as you can see even by the pings right now, they know the Croc is going to be on the Raptors. And yeah, you don't really need words when you have Ashe on your side, right? You just see exactly where the enemy jungler is. You know that he's taking the Raptors. You know how much he has. You know everything that you need to know. And right now that a little bit later, they will need to stay a bit safer. They would need to back off from the enemy's turret, because otherwise they can be ganked.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can. Zeno's doing well already here in the mid lane, equal and firm against the Talia. We know that it can be aggressive. And the Renekton proxy, it's become a staple for FNB at this point. Well, it makes sense where we see that much gold on the hands of FNB and around the 15-minute mark. It's platings and proxy.
This guy really loves his minions. Well, not his minions, frankly, the enemy's minions. He wants to take all of them into his pockets, and he's proxying. He's going to proxy the second wave as well. And Red's bot lane right now needs to back off urgently, because yes, they have the passive on Seraphim, but they don't have any means of escape apart from the flashes and the ghost onto Brunsey. That is a good vision there from Aegis. They're going to spot Croc, plus this ward in the pixel bush is helping them out. Now, question is, do they want to fight?
Oh, they actually land the double snare, going in forward with the pulverize and the flash as well. The Seraphine is going dangerously low. That's a first hit. First blood goes to Red, but now following back is the Ashe. Brunsey gets the kill back. And now Aegis fighting out this 2v2, but Greftar is around. There's the follow-up from Tino's, but it's late. Flash for flash. Aegis is going to be taken down first, but Brunsey gets the other one instead. 1-0-1 on this Ashe with the Aurelion Soul coming through. There they are. That could be another one. The minions protect them. Oh, close. But it's overall a 3-for-2 for Loud.
Yes, and let's see the replay here, because one thing you need to remember about the bot lane of Red, yes, they're very annoying. They will bully you as long as you don't get right on top of them, which is exactly what Croc and Redbird are doing. They are initiating the actual fight, and the moment they are on the Seraphine, the moment they are on this Ashe, they both are incredibly squishy. They cannot really get away from you anymore. You can see even on the bottom of your screen, Seraphine used everything, both the heal and the flash, and it was still not enough for her to get away from the enemy.
Yeah, it was not. Look at that piercing arrow as well from Root. Although Grefta was dangerously close to taking down Root in between minions.
Yes.
It was not there. Whew, that made me catch my breath. That was a tense fight.
It was. It was a really fun one, but a tense fight. And I hope that Red's bot lane learned their lesson and they're not going to let the enemies get onto them like that. I don't know what was the whole idea of them looking for a fight there, because fight sure did find them.
And they did. There was a Hextech flash over the wall here by Redbird, but it's not going to come into anything. A nice dodge as well on the snare from Jojo. Now rotating ages for this bottom Scuttle Crab, as the first Drake of the game has just spawned in 20 seconds ago. Root is alone, so is Bronzy, but their supports are joining the fray. One difference is Croc is in the mid lane. There is no backup here for the Loud bot lane. Going out to Grafthar, could try to get it. There is some damage, but not enough. The tower shot will warn them away.
Yes, for Volunteer pre-level 6, it is really hard to get close with the enemy when they get away from you or you don't find a good angle to them. And with the changes on the Summoner Reef in this season, it is really hard to find a good opening onto the mid lane. Which means right now the openings have to be found around the objectives. We have the Drake that he already mentioned. The Void Grubs, the Ugly Pugs are already waiting for somebody to take them down as well.
Yeah, and Red, with no vision from Loud whatsoever, is going to confirm this first Drake of the game to themselves. That is a Hextech one, so unlike the previous game, we're not going to have a Hextech Soul. And the next one is a Chemtech, so no Chemtech Soul either.
Yay.
This one is just looking to go over the wall. Potentially, there's a head, but Pulverize going in. A cleanse immediately down. Brancy goes down as well. Redbird takes the kill. Now, Aegis, you are in a rough spot, buddy. You could try to escape. But this is most likely a kill going out to Rude. Croc, why would you steal it? That's rude.
Well, because he can, you know.
I guess.
I guess. But what I don't understand is why Red keep finding those fights. Again, the whole idea of this bot lane is that you stay far away from the enemy, you utilize your range advantage, and you don't let them go on top of you. They let them literally do exactly the opposite. They let Loud jump onto them. Redbird is really good in finding those openings over and over, and Red are not careful enough. And if it continues like that, oh, this is going to be a really tough game for them, because Red is already 1-0-4, with quite a lot of money in his pockets going into the lethality build, which means he's going to cut through Bronzy, through Jojo, through Greftar so damn quickly.
Oh yeah, they don't have any true tanks in this composition on the side of Red, so lethality makes the most sense. The amount of health you're cutting through is considerably easier with the lethality build. And Solari, you gotta talk about that Redbird knock back into a just quick thumbs up. Like, I'm fine. It's
Yes.
okay. I did great. I know I did great. Now both of these are trading here, and Bronzy is taking the advantage on it. If they had ulti, and they do. No, they do not. It's on cooldown. Greftar coming in, and that's a 4-man gank. Redbird gets a pulverize to push Greftar away. Root, do you have flash? Do you? You do.
Yes.
All right. And they escape, just patiently waiting for that knockup to come through. Very nicely done.
This patience from Rude was incredible. And Bronzy, he didn't have the arrow because he used the arrow in the very beginning of this fight, because when the camera zoomed on the bot lane, you could see Rude just standing there stunned with what the enemy did.
You're right.
Robo!
Canceling the tower. There's Croc coming in. FNB going dangerously low. There's the Aurelion Soul, and then ulti takes a kill here for Tino's. Redbird is alone against 3 people, but it's also a Alistar. No unbreakable will yet, but the level 4 Alistar can still take quite a bit.
He keeps like patting himself on the head, pat, pat, pat.
I know.
But he does the same with the thumbs up. Why are Red so proactive around the bot lane? What are they trying to force here? I'm still confused with them trying to force so many things about Ashe and Seraphine. They are good controllers, both of them. They have a lot of damage and a lot of range, but they are not exactly the fighters, especially since Loud are rotating around them so good and so quickly and so patiently, as you can already see it from Rude.
Yeah, they're managing to do that exceptionally well. And I don't think it's actually a thought from a fault, excuse me, from Red to go to the bot side. It's just a good counter from Loud because it's hard to
That's
get
true.
something against the Gragas. It's also hard to get something against the Aurelion Soul because you have that little bit of a disengage. But let's have a look at that replay again.
FNB stays for so long under this turret. This ultimate from Robo is going to go completely wide. Now the turret is completely turned down. FNB is still alive because he flashes away. And if it wasn't for Tinos, I don't know if he wouldn't have survived. But yes, it's a very good kill confirmed for the Aurelion Soul.
Yeah, you want to see that those kills go now to Tinos, and Tinos rotates again, as we mentioned. Good getting that cask to push FNB into a fight. This game is just full of thumbs up.
Yeah, everybody's just accepting the fact that this game is pure chaos, and we like it this way. That's why we love CBLOL. We want to see a lot of bloodbath on the Summoner's Reef. We want to see the chaos emerging from the bot lane or top lane or whatever, and it is emerging from all the places right now. But it is looking like a good controlled chaos for Loud because we are talking about the 6-2 situation right now and around 2k-ish gold lead for them. I'm not going to go on and calculate it again. I don't do that. I'm more than just a calculating machine. No.
No, we cast. We don't do numbers.
Exactly. That's why I don't do D&D these days.
Well, in case I kind of do, but I have like very small numbers anyway because they're all level 2. So that's fine. That's fine.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
It was a good trade here from Tinos in the mid lane, and it's interesting because we saw Tinos having that same pressure be in the Talia, but now they are getting that against the Talia on Grafstar. Very good response. Now Bruncy pushing him forward onto Redbird. Flashes away from the crystalline arrow. Good preemptive one since they spotted Aegis around. Still gotta be careful on how you play this because Aegis is just making a tent, like throwing out a picnic. They are staying.
Yeah, Aegis is nowhere but on the bot lane. He's not rotating around the map. He's not really taking that many camps. He's constantly around this bot lane. Right now, they are taking the Drake, so it's something to get out of his constant camping there. On the top lane, however, FNB is kind of suffering out of the turret, but let's forget about him for a second because Drake is going down rather quickly. Not the best Drake, but it is the second Drake for Red.
Yeah, and it makes us be very much aware of what's going to be the next Drake. Well, the soul is going to be a mountain. Not as exciting, but useful, of course, especially for a late game composition.
Especially for Red.
Yeah.
Actually, they are so squishy, they would need this protection.
Yeah, they do need it. They need it right now, actually, on the side of Loud. Redbird pops in the Unbreakable Will. Now following away, Red escapes. Croc would be slowed down to a very bad spot. Root is just getting playthings while we speak. The Encore hits the cow. Now going out forward as a magnetic storm, and it could connect into 2 kills. Going out to Bronzy, 3-1-1.
All it took for Red to find a good fight was sing a little song from JoJo. And apparently a good lullaby kills a cow or something, I don't know, but those were 2 really good and very important kills for Red.
That's how the saying goes.
I guess, I don't know, okay? But that's how it is in this game. Look at that really good slow coming there that you already mentioned coming out from Bronzy. And right after that, very nice encore with a great follow-up from Aegis. Everything there was played down by the book. They need to layer their control on top of each other because that's how they're going to win the team fights.
Yeah, chain CC is something that we're going to see galore if Red wants to win this game, and they need to win this game not to get dropped down to the lower bracket where they could potentially be facing Kaboom. They are the ones waiting for who's going to be the matchup in the lower bracket. All right, feels very much good with those numbers on the screen. It's Bronzy on around 500 gold ahead compared to Root. And the scores looking similar. Crystalline Arrow onto Robo, but that's a very tinky Gragas. You can just, I don't know, try to force something out. You did force a cask, so it's an ulti for an ult.
Yeah, but the ultimate flash is going to come back off cooldown much quicker than the cask for Robo, so it's a rather good exchange in the end, I would say. But Loud are not wasting any time. They have only 2 wake ups, but they're taking the turret down rather quickly with it.
They are. Plenty of platings going out here for Bronzy and Aegis plus Jojo on the bot side. The only thing that Robo can do is just try to wait for the wave to come in, avoid some of those skill shots, while on the top side, that's exactly what Loud is doing as well. Only they take the upper hand, and that is going to be the first brick of the game for Loud.
Yes! However, now that the second break is going to happen, I wanted to take a very quick look at Jojo's inventory because he has the first item completed, and that is going to be Mikhail's Blessing. Interestingly enough, because normally for Seraphine on a supportive role, you would expect what Moonstone Renewal plus the Redemption, and I believe these are still going to be the two core items for Jojo. At least they have to be the two core items for Jojo in this game because then the healing is going to be massive. But the fact that he's buying Mikhail's first means that he is first of all delaying the other two items, and second of all, right now he's not going to be an asset for the whole team, but rather for one person. Most likely, of course, Bronzy, because it's all about the AD carry in the end for this team. But it means that he's sacrificing everybody's good for Bronzy's good, which we're yet to see if it's going to be justified or not. Oh, F&B, there is a ward there.
Oh,
No,
that's
no,
another
no.
gank.
Oh.
That's the stun. F&B taking some of that damage, but still very much alive. And Solari, I'm on board with you. There's something that to me tells they are worried about the pulverize on Redbird. They're worried about the chains of corruption on Root, trying to get that CC away. While their composition is laid the CC, they're also trying to deny Bronzy from taking the CC, considering the Ashe is running Flash plus Ghost now bot side. Could be a kill onto Robo, but I actually don't think it will be. They just take quite a bit. They don't land the follow-up. Now a cask goes wide, actually, with a nice dodge, forcing away the Flash. Now they don't have Flash, and there's the Weaver's Wall getting away. Ooh, they managed to escape, and Tinos has a good shadow as well. Redbird is over the wall with the Blast Cone. Now Red, with a lot of resources pulled out onto Loud, doesn't quite make anything out of it.
That was very messy from Red side this time. Very messy. They, as you said, tried to land so many things onto Robo, but didn't actually land any of them. And Robo got away, and the Red are now sitting there with the Drake coming up in 35 seconds, not having some of the resources they would like to have, especially the ultimate for Aegis, is not going to come back, I believe, at the time that the Drake is going to spawn. And that is the third Drake of the game. It's going to put Red on the soul point if they get one. And again, this soul is going to be super important for Red. They need to take it, especially having already two dragons in their pockets. But can they do it? Is going to be the question. They have pretty good access to the river, but there is a soul there, and I'm worried for Red.
Robo clearing out that vision with Sinones. They are taking control over the river, but they're not actually able to erase some of those wards from Red, so they still have control over it. Croc going onto the front line, trying to get that damage. There's the ulti from Tinos, making such good work. Pulverize plus Cask means Graftar could be killed, and they are. 2 kills already going out for Loud on this fight, 2 for 0. Red has to try and escape, but FNB is getting burned down. Robo could go over the wall trying to get something on Aegis, but they know that it's too much to go after, and Drake is just as good.
And there is no need to go any further for Loud. They have the price. They are at 9-4 right now in terms of the kills. They are taking the first Drake of the game and denying the soul point to Red. They dealt a lot of damage to the enemies. And honestly, between us, this fight was doomed from the very beginning for Red, because Tinones was running around with this little icon next to his health bar. And when you see this little icon next to Asol's health bar, you know that this is a kaboom for your health bar. It is going to go down the moment this ultimate is going to land. And even if it doesn't land on you, it's going to slow down everybody in a massive zone around it. And look at this combination. So much control coming from Loud. And by the time the control is over, Red already lost one. They're losing the second one right after that. And the third one a little short after. This is a beautiful combination from Red. From Loud, sorry, not from Red. The Red's combination was dying one after the other.
Well, that's a shame. One thing that one small detail that I noticed about that fight was there was great gold chain CC from Loud. But what I loved the most was the cask from Robo was kind of quote unquote denied, but also helped, because the cask is going to push people away. But Redbird got a pulverize at the same time. So instead of the cask pushing away, it was just a knock-up. Now, speaking of crowd of control, that's Redbird going down. A killing spree by Bronzy. Now Robo taking the front line while Red is on the numbers advantage. Casks in with the chains of corruption as well. Oh my word, Root is dealing insane amounts of damage. T-Nones comes in, and they're very close to bringing back that ADC. Slow goes on to Bronzy. They try to take it, but they're not tanky enough. Bronzy is absolutely unstoppable. 1 HP and almost gets taken down by Root. Now in the mid lane, oh, excuse me, forget about the mid lane. FNB was chasing after this ADC, but doesn't really get the connect on it. Woo! What a fight!
It's like we said in the first game, especially right about Loud. They are the ones making the mistakes, and it's up to Raid whether they will decide to punish them for those or not. And this time, Loud did make a mistake. I hope we're going to get the replay because Loud have split up. Loud were trying to go for some easy kills, and they were blinded to the fact that Raid's backlane was still there and was in a good position to land damage onto them. That's what allowed Raid to get some kills back into this fight and almost find their footing back into the game after this fight. But, well, I am not sure if that is going to be enough. There is Harold just casually walking all the way from the base of Loud. Don't mind me, I'm here for a little bay. Oh, a replay. We're not going to see the pay, but we're going to see the replay a little bit later. I want you to keep an eye onto what's going to happen here because, yes, Redbird goes down. It is immediately a 5 versus 4 with a TP coming in right there from the Gragas. But a little bit further, very good Kask is going to come in with the Chains of Corruption. Really nice chain of control. But right here is where things are going to go a little bit south. Bronzy and FNB are solo. Look at that. Krog, Root, and Robo are going completely wide here, and they're trying to chase the easy targets, completely forgetting that the backlane of Red is still before them, dealing damage and staying alive. If only they switched there, if only they didn't go so far after Red, maybe the fight could have looked completely different. But we get what we get.
A little tunnel focus, right, Solari? I agree with you. And it guaranteed that Brunsey is now 5-1-1, got that unstoppable and 200 gold bounty to their name. Now there's a Weave's Wall coming through, trying to get them away, isolating Croc. No, actually Robo on this one. There's the ulti from Tinos as well to follow it up, trying to help, but it's a kill for Grafstar. Now trying to continue the fight. Loud cannot. They are not looking good in this one, but they are falling low on health on the side of Red. There is some healing for Jojo, but because there's no redemption, as you mentioned, Solari, you're not going to heal as much. Health bars on Loud are better, but they are outnumbered.
It was still a pretty good fight from Loud, I would say. They lost one, but they dealt quite a lot of damage for Red, so Red couldn't capitalize on the fact that it turned into a 4 versus 5. But yes, it's the fact that Loud couldn't really find any further opening and couldn't go for the turret or for some kills to answer the enemy's kills. It wasn't perfect. Again, really messy fights we're seeing there from Loud, but in the end, Loud are still coming out victorious because they still have around 2k gold lead for the team. They still have this lead on the jungler, on the mid laner, mostly surprisingly on supports because Redbird is feeling really good compared to Jojo. And it is not good news for Jojo because Jojo needs money urgently. He needs to be healing up the team because team is so squishy. Team is suffering a lot in those fights. And the problem is, Asol is still scaling up and he's going to deal way too much damage for Red to survive.
I would even say it was a questionable choice to go for that Mikael's. I don't know, maybe
Honestly.
even a Solari would have been better. You're always
Solari
better.
is always better, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But a Solari's would have been better just for the shielding because if you get the shield, it goes on top of your squishy health. If you have heals, you have to get your ADC's HP down to be able to heal back up. So is that good? Considering that Root is already pushing down on those piercing arrows? I don't know. There comes the Weave's Wall and a cleanse immediately from Root. Trying to escape. There's a rotation from Loud as well coming out from the river. Now FNB is on the back line trying to get something going. There's a magnetic storm followed up by a Nankor hitting 4 members. And the Chains of Corruption goes down and wide. Now with the Tino's ulti could help it up. But it's a 1-for-1 so far, Solari. And a messy fight on that matter, I would say, because many of those abilities did well, but didn't really connect.
No, and that is a jungler down for Red, which means for Loud there is an upper hand right now when it comes to going towards the Drake. But what are Red doing? Please tell me they're not going for the Baron. Please tell me they're not trying to do the Baron flip. No, they're not. They're not. They're just disengaging from the Drake. They decided not to take this fight because they don't have the jungler. At least that. Okay.
Well, yeah, we are 23 minutes into the game, which means that usual 5-minute gap between Baron spawning and when you can actually play for it when you are behind. Yeah, I don't think Red could have taken that, so it's just better to disengage.
No.
They can afford to lose the Drake. But look at the replay. Tell me all about it, Sarai.
Messy again. It is the fact that there is a cleanse for Root that is used immediately that really saves him and doesn't let Red to do anything about the fact that they just landed a good ultimate. It is also the fact that Aegis goes blindly into the enemies and gets hit by so many of them. Immediately followed up though by two good ultimates, and it is so messy. So I can't. The chains of corruption not landing from Root is what changed the whole fight, because again, it would have been a fight where Loud could have taken so many more kills, but just one thing not hitting leads to the other thing not being able to go down, and Loud disengage with not having anything in their pockets but the Drake. To be fair, as an end result, the second Drake, the second Mountain Drake, is rather good for them.
It really is. They have an Alistar, they have the Gragas, they have the Volibear. That sometimes we're taking too much damage because of how strong Bruncy is. Ooh, going out again, but Unbreakable Will just gets a support ulti for an ulti. Aegis in a bad spot between three members of Loud. They disengage, and they need to be careful about this because it could be a giveaway on a Baron.
Honestly, yes. If Loud have a good fight right now, they go for the Baron. If Loud feel like it, they go for the Baron, apparently, and that is exactly what they're doing. To be fair, they have damage, but I'm not sure how good of an idea it is. Red have no idea. Red have no idea.
They're not even pinging. Now they're actually positioning here, going out for it. Redwood taking the front line. They disengage from the Baron. Robo's there. FNB in the back line. And keep a close eye on it. And Croc has to use that ulti defensively away. They knock down FNB. Lock down FNB. And again, the fights just get messy, abilities get thrown, nothing really gets capitalized. At least the ADCs are surviving. A little bit different for Bronzy there, although surviving, they're taking much more damage than Root is, which could spell a little bit of a better micro positioning that Root has been having so far.
Yes, honestly, Root has been much better in the fights compared to Brownsy, which is sad news for Brownsy because Brownsy's 6-1-2. He's supposed to be the powerhouse for Red Canids right now. Frankly, with his last... Wait, Robo?
Oh, has to flash away.
Okay.
This arrow could have been a dead top laner for Loud. Very close, actually. And that is bad because you want to have that goes in, body slam with flash and cast combo for Robo.
Yeah.
That's not going to be the case.
But going back to Brownsy for a second, I wanted to look at the inventory because he has the third item, and the third item is LDR, which means now the problem of cutting through Croc is going to ideally not be a problem anymore, because so far for Red that was the case, right? They go into the fight, they land some good control, the enemy misses some control, but Red cannot really do anything after that because they are lacking serious damage on their side. With this LDR for Bronzy, I think the problem should be fixed. At least they should be able to cut through the front line of the enemy, and if there is only backline left, well, it should, again, in theory, be easy for Red to get rid of them. But we will see if I'm correct or not, because so far, yes, items on Bronzy are good, but everybody else is suffering. Everybody else on the Red side is behind, sometimes massively, in gold compared to their Loud's opponents.
Speaking of items, my favorite here would be that Serpent's Fang for Root, denying all the shielding on Magnetic Storm, on Jojo, on even FNB, of course, from Renekton's own kit. I like it. I think that's really good. It's a clever play. And again, Root has been positioning really well in these team fights, not allowing Red to actually have access to it. Although they have Grefta on the Talia, they have a Rel, they have FNB going onto the backline at every possibility. They have their TP in the backline, but it's not actually coming to fruition. Now Tino's getting a fog here on this bottom side of the mid lane, and the fact that this tier 1 is still open for both sides means a lot. Is it going to still be open for a little bit longer? 1, 2, 3 auto attacks and it's down. Now tier 1 for Red opens up the space for Loud to feel more comfortable to move around the map.
However, Croc had to ult himself out of this fight right after they got destroyed because he was getting a little bit dangerous there. Just, sandwich between everybody from the Red side. And now he has no ulti and the Drake is coming up in 24 seconds. The Baron is still up. This is a little bit of an uncomfortable situation for Loud because they would like to have everything available to them when it comes to a potential fight around these objectives. Luckily for them, Tinoans is sitting on an upgraded ultimate, and this one is going to be really big when it comes to the next fight. Where is this fight going to take place? I'm still looking at the Drake, and I really do believe that this is going to be a fight around Drake because both of the teams will be sitting on a soul point if they get to it. But right now, Loud have much better access to the pit, and they do not hesitate to use it.
And you mentioned that power up just next to the Aurelion Soul. So whenever we see the same fight going, all of the riversides are blank for red. They don't have any access to it in regards to vision. So Loud is taking this moment to try and come in. There's the Scuttle Crab taken by red, try and get some of that vision back. Redbird getting that front line positioning. So is FNB. FNB very close to take. Yeah, no, they do have that TP available. So it could be a backline push that we have seen from them quite a lot in this series. But so far, just trying to find a good position from both sides on what is going to be the next course of action. Well, because of a lovely push that Tino has had in the mid lane, Root can just as well finish off this tier 2, but can they afford to do it? There's Red starting out the Baron buff Solari, some damage coming out from Tinos. They could disengage. I think it's better if they do disengage. They have no vision onto FNP. Croc could be exposed, so is Tinos. They have no idea the Renekton is there. Going in, there's a Blast Cone, trying to get damage, but they don't find an opening. Defensive ulti coming from Croc, trying to get away, and a lovely Pulverize that doesn't really connect to anything else, Solari. There's an ulti from Tinos, trying to follow it up. Cheese of Corruption goes wide, and again, what are these team fights?
I don't know. They're just messy. Solve a minus flash from Graftar, but this team fight was again very messy. Root not landing the chains of corruption was a very big miss for Loud and Red. Red are resilient. They're still around the Baron.
They are. There's a Pulverize and a Hex Stack over the wall. There's the Magnetic Storm to count it up again with the Encore that was managed to be so successfully placed. Doesn't deny the kills coming for Loud. Now FNP with that TP could try to get Robo instead. There's Weave as well, blocking the chain away. There's one kill for Graftar. Could be another. There's Stasis coming out from Robo. Next one is taken by Red. They have the numbers advantage. They have the HP bars advantage. Croc, you have to escape. You cannot die at this point. If the jungler dies, then there's a Baron.
But no Baron is happening just yet. Nobody's going for the Baron, and nobody else is dying, including that Baron. The recalls are going to happen for both other teams because they know it's not really the point where they fight. This is the point where they disengage and go for the soul point of the dragon. This fight started very chaotically and messy. Interesting how Red still had some ultimates available, especially from their support and their jungler, and they used them really nicely. Having those two ultimates plus FNB coming back with a teleport allowed them to turn this fight around and make sure that, yes, they are not in a good enough spot to take the Baron after the fight ends, but at least they know that Loud are not going to have a chance to re-engage onto it either.
And while we were looking at that replay, Red takes the soul point, excuse me, for the contest that was almost going to happen. Loud decides to get that preemptive positioning here on the top side river. Tinos get a TP as well to be at the party. Robo's still a little bit late, trying to save that TP for another potential opportunity. Loud actually pushing Red away from their own jungle, getting some good vision that gets instantly denied by Red. So good counter here from the Red Kenneth squad, trying to get some more positioning while Croc, Tinos, together starting out this buff. Baron is being attacked, but they don't have vision on the side of Red. Could they bait it out? They were trying to bait it out, and they're not really deciding to go on anything. Just hold that thought. Yes, they are. FNB takes damage. There's a Weaver's Wall separating the support away, and now Robo is down. They're going to take that kill and just disengage.
With Croc staying at the Baron, I yet again can't help but question what the idea was for Loud, but I gotta admit they bought enough time for their minions to get all the way to the base of the enemy, and now Red are busy to push the waves. They still need to re-establish some of the vision control in the jungle because Loud did a really good job at clearing out the worst from Red, but they cannot really go into anything because they are effectively a -1 right now. Plus everybody from the team of Loud has spread across the map. You can see that T-Nones is on the top lane right now, with Croc being in the bot lane jungle. Not really the grounds to fight. That means that Loud are still looking at this Baron, but they're not looking at it as the immediate next target for them. The next thing on the list might as well just be the next dragon because it's 3 minutes before it's going to be up.
It might be Bronzy. It might be Bronzy.
Oh, yeah.
That is a shutdown. Okay. No vision. No vision whatsoever. There was just that scout there with the pink ward on the top river bush. They were taken just as soft and smooth as butter. Now Loud can start doing damage to this Baron. Robo with Redbird in the back line. Unfortunately, Red is just looking to concede this one. You have two members here in the mid lane trying to get the push, while Talia, Graftar in the bot side also trying to get something out of it, which could be that tier 2. I don't think they can. Oh, they can actually, because it was already on 50%, so that tier 2 is going to get traded for the Baron, confirmed by Loud.
It is not much, but it's something. A good decision from Red deciding not to fight whatsoever, especially because Bronzy was down. Bronzy is still the main damage dealer of the whole team. The moment Bronzy goes down, it is a great opening for Loud, and it's good that they saw the opening and they didn't hesitate to seize it on the spot. And Red decided just to de-push the waves on the lanes as much as possible to delay the onslaught, this siege incoming from Loud for a little while longer. It is still going to come, especially now that there were really good recalls for Loud after this Baron, especially for Root. 700 gold bounty from Bronzy is no joke. He's on 4 actually items right now. This is a very deadly virus if he lends the Chains of Corruption.
Yeah. Well, if you land the piercing arrow, that's just as good as well. You have a lot of CC on your team, so I think that's good. And as you said, it's not just 4 items, but also going out for the Serrated Duck as well for your 5th and full build item as well, looking immensely good. And total damage really laying on the hands of the both ADCs. Root, Bronzy just toe-to-toe there on the top 2. But with the Baron buff now, Loud can push easily here on the bot side. We'll see what's going to be that decision. Chinos has that powered up ulti. There's the Weave's wall coming through just to separate them. And it's just going to delay the inevitable. While in the mid lane, you have Robo trying to push it as well. And could potentially get something out of that tier 3 since tier 2 is already exposed.
However, Tinones, as you can see, again has the upgraded ultimate available, has around 500 stacks, almost 500 stacks, which means next fight for Red is going to be really deadly. This is an Elder Dragon sitting on 3 items, including the Void stuff, including the Realize, which was the first item that slows everybody down massively. It's going to be tough to do anything while Tinones is still alive. However, Red have some really good wave clear on their side, especially thanks to Bronzy, of course. Again, as long as Bronzy stays alive, there is a chance for Red, but this chance is so small. It is so tiny. It is really hard to see right now, Soph.
Small like a smolder. And I think it's so very outstanding that we have Tinones and Root sitting on perfect KDA on all sides. Chains of Corruption's land, forcing out a flash away from Graftar, and they're dealing massive damage on the tier 3s. Getting a good rotation. Robo, just one auto attack is going to be enough. And there it is, another one here at the bottom side, just with the cannon minion. Opens up the base. Now you have only tier 3 and 2 standing on the top side while your inhibitors are exposed.
Yes, but Loud don't even need to go for them right now, Soph. Look at the timer. The dragon is up and running, and it's going to be the soul point for Loud, and a soul denied for Red momentarily because Red, they know what's happening, but they cannot really leave their base for too long because the big minions are pouring their way, plus the top lane is looking incredibly fragile right now. They need to rotate the Graftar there to protect these top lane turrets or the inner top lane turret from going down just by minions. For Red, the situation right now is really tough. They need to wait out the Baron buff from the enemies, and then they need to find ways to have a good team fight when there is no upgraded ultimate for Tinones. They need to make sure they're not caught one by one because it has already been happening for them and it was devastating, especially at the time that Bronzy got caught. And they need to be playing around Bronzy. At least right now, there is a Moonstone for Jojo for already some time, so he is healing the team really nicely and it's helping them out. But since there is no redemption, it's not really a Seraphine that wins the game for everybody. It is not the true Queen of Poland, as we call her in Poland. It is
I love
just
that.
a Seraphine. Yeah, that's actually, we call her Queen of Poland in Poland. I have no idea why, but as a Seraphine ambassador, I go with it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Me too. Me too. Love the pink-haired ladies. Just like you.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty. Now, on 37 minutes. Wow. 37 minutes. Almost 38 in this game. Potentially the final one of the series. If Loud can wrap it up and if Red can take this any longer. That's a Rabadon finished by Graftar could make a huge difference on this team fight. Speaking of Graftar getting that TP onto the backline. Oh, actually, preemptively, not into
their
the enemy backline, but their own backline, as you say. Bronzy taking damage from those piercing arrows. And these Weaver's Wall sometimes a little too early, I would say. There's a pulverize getting Aegis away. Very nicely done to try and protect Root. Damage is coming in. Tino's trying to follow it up. There's the ultimate. Wow! That's huge! Then you have the Aurelion Soul, as you said. The Elder Drake comes in. And now Croc trying to be the front line. 2 flashes forward and an ulti from Croc. Now another one hit. Is Tino's going to take another one, potentially the inhibitor next? They're very, very close. Solari Root is chasing F&B down, but they don't have enough damage to follow it up, but they do have enough damage to take the inhibitors.
Oh yes, they just need to show away Ray to make sure they take this inhibitor and the bot lane inhibitor as well. And it's going to be 2 lanes completely open. And for Ray, even with all their wave clear, it's going to be incredibly hard to keep protecting their base. Nothing they can do right now because Light, of course, are going to disengage. And the timer is almost up and running for the Baron. 30 seconds on the clock before it's going to spawn. Great time for the recalls from Loud. They're also going to take the blue buff for the whole team as a little tags from the red side. Then recall and then get all ready for a potential fight around the Baron buff. It is Baron, Pete, Baron buff. Yeah, both are absolutely correct. It is the fact that Bronzy was getting quite a lot of damage before the fight even started. That wasn't really a good look for Red. It was also the fact that there was this upgraded ultimate available for T-Notes and it dealt a massive amount of damage, plus slowing everybody down. Look right here. When the Encore is going to not land onto everybody, but this ultimate lands onto every single member of the enemy team. After that, the fight starts to look a little bit sloppy because T-Notes and Bronzy are the main sources of damage, but T-Notes is busy on the mid lane. Root, sorry, not Bronzy, of course, but Root is so far away, he cannot really follow up, and that's why we see some death happening on the Loud side. But it doesn't matter, because they get what they wanted, the inhibitors.
40 minutes of game. 69,000 gold for Loud versus 64 for Red. That 5,000 gold just feels like it should have been even bigger considering how much these fights are going well for Loud. Now trying to get some damage onto the big front line. Redbirds on the yellow star. They managed to get them 50% HP. There's a Baron as well again on the field. F&B getting caught out by 3 members. A nice pulverize. A lot of shields come through. But F&B, you're just as good as dead, my guy. There's another auto attack confirmed here by Croc. Well, in the mid lane, Red was just trying to push in the wave. They can't really do much about it. Look at the towers. Look at your base. Solari, the minions are winning. What is this? CBLOL is just being run by minions. They are taking it over. And Loud should thank them very much.
Because unlike some players and some solo queue players as well, the minions know how the games are won. You don't really kill the enemies. You don't really go for a perfect KDA. That doesn't matter. You go for the enemy accents. And minions are like, we're tired of all this stuff happening on the map. We gotta kill confirmed. But alas for them, Red were there to have the recalls, the teleports to stop them from taking the base. However, Loud could take the Baron in the meantime. Now they're rotating towards the Drake. 17 seconds and it's going to be up and running. It is a soul for whoever takes it, but I don't think Red will be able to go for a steal or a kill confirmed because they're too busy defending their base. It's just one turret there standing and protecting their Nexus from going down, exploding for the last time in this series.
We are very close to a wrap, Solari. We are very close to Loud taking a 3-0 sweep over Red in the upper semis. They have Baron. They could take the Drake right now. That would be immense amount of shielding defenses that Loud is going to have on top of the fact that that front line was already bulky. And your backline, oh, your backline. Tinos and Root are basically melting anything you have and any of your dreams too. Look at that piercing arrow. Bronzy's just melting at anyone's touch. Loud could take the game just right here.
Yes, and most likely they are going for the end. So most likely they are going for a 3-0 series confirmed because they want to be playing with Pain instead of Kaboom next week. But oh my god, Croc!
Yeah, they're coming in. There's an ulti that could be placed by Tinos as well. But they're actually over the wall trying to get that damage onto Aegis. They're going to be killed right here. Or are they? No, very close. Watch and engage by Redbird. And the chain of CC continues. Grafthai is the last man standing, flashing away. And Tinos takes them down. There's just one tower remaining in between Loud and a 3-0. And they guarantee there.
20-12. 3-0 is what Loud claim in this series today with a sweep over the enemies. They take down this series. They are progressing further throughout the bracket that we're going to have a look at a little bit later. They are going to be playing in the upper bracket still. And of course for Red, nothing is lost yet. This is a double elimination. just eliminated one, still one more elimination before them, before they're out of the series. Is it going to happen or not? We don't know, but what we know for sure is that Loud are the winners today.
Oh, yes, they are. That 303 feels good, taking them into our usual finals matchup called Pain versus Loud. But this is not the grand finals yet. We're talking about upper finals. There's so much tournament to be played. Congratulations to Loud for the 3-0 sweep in this game. But Red took a great effort on this one, and I think it made Loud sweat. This game was 48 minutes long? How in the world?
Because Red were fighting back like lions, like tigers, like I don't know what, but it wasn't enough, unfortunately. Red really gave Loud a very good fight in this series, but it wasn't enough. It was the case of, yes, both teams are good. Also, both teams are making a lot of mistakes throughout this series, but who makes less mistakes, who gets less punished for them, and who has overall greater understanding of how the game is supposed to be going is going to get everything under their control. And Loud were the one in control for the entirety of this series. I especially loved their drafts today because they were out drafting the enemy. They were not drafting for themselves. They were drafting against Red Canids, and you can see how much it meant later in the games.
Yo, it does. It means highest level of tier 1 competitive play, and I'm here for it. Sometimes teams come with a different, feel to them when we see them in regular season. When they come into playoffs, this feels like Loud playoffs, but it also feels like a team that prepared things really, really well in the draft. But when they were posed with a big threat like Red, things were par on par. Things were even. We felt like Loud had an upper hand, and they did on most situations, but it wasn't big. It was a small lead. The gold was just about 2,000, sometimes just 1,000, less than 1,000 ahead for Loud for the majority of the early to mid game. Red played as much as they could have against this composition, but they were a little bit outdrafted. I don't think that draft was bad by any means, but Loud read everything before it happened.
Yes, well, again, it wasn't the case of Red were bad players. It was the case of they were good players, but Loud were just better players at every single level, including the games, including the drafts, including absolutely everything. By the way, before we go any further, can we have a quick look at the predictions? Because I want to remind you what I said at some point today when we first looked at the predictions. Remember those names I said, 4x4, Solari, and Trajan. 3 silly, goofy guys who were like, oh yeah, maybe Red Canids are going to win. Well, no.
Well, considering I did vote for Loud, I think that was a bit of a wide shot. But I appreciate the hope. I appreciate the belief in Red Canids because I think they deserved it. I think they played very solid games. I don't think the drafts were bad at all. They did good drafts. They took good advantage of how FNB was playing. And to be fair, there were many, although we are, of course, talking about the good points of how Loud played because they won, there were also many, many things, especially in this game, where we saw the messiest fights. So,
yes,
it's a little intriguing.
Yeah, well, Loud are in a good form, but they're not in the best form and not in the best shape whatsoever, of course. And you could see it, especially as you mentioned, in the team fights. Some of them were exceptionally messy. In some of the P-caps, they also couldn't really understand what they were supposed to be doing. And on top of that, I really don't want to see Redbird playing Nummies again, because I just don't think this volatility in his gameplay of Nami is justified for the team. Again, he has really good plays as Nami, but when he has bad plays, boy, those plays are just devastating.
Maybe Milio, right? If you want to do someone with Lucian, switch from the fish, go to the corn. That's how we say corn in Portuguese. It's literally Milio. So, there you go.
Oh! Yeah. I didn't know.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
It's not written the same way, but it does sound exactly the same.
Damn, the more I know. Thank you for teaching me some Portuguese. So, but actually, let's have a look at the bracket just to remind ourselves what is at stakes and what is going to happen later. Just to see who is going to be playing whom right now. Because yes, we had Red playing with Loud today, but Loud won, which means they are going to be meeting up with Pain Gaming next week.
Yes, And as we mentioned, that is a matchup as classic as CBLOL, especially as classic as all grand finals of CBLOLs go. And at this point, 2024 Split 1, it's been loud on 3 championships in a row. So, we'll see what's going to be the actual matchup like, because that is our upper bracket finals. Of course, whoever wins this gets their spot guaranteed for grand finals. So, whoever of this would have to go through all of lower bracket to be able to have a rematch with each other. And for the next matches of the next week, we have, if I'm not mistaken, the Friday plus the Saturday.
Yes.
Correct. There you go. And that would be Red Canids versus Kaboom and VKS versus Los. And do you have any thoughts about any of these games in particular?
Los Grandes into the grand finals. Let's go!
Let's go!
I am living on copium and hoping so much these days, but
it's all right.
yeah, it's fine. But Raid will have to meet Kaboom next week. I have no idea how this matchup is going to look like because Raid Silva have been incredibly strong, but of course had their lower points throughout the split and throughout the playoffs. Pretty much the same can be said for Kaboom. So I literally have no clue how this matchup is going to go. Like I guess I will just throw a coin when it comes to predictions next week.
I think I am definitely more excited about the Kaboom Red matchup. I think VKS having, well, the upper hand of being the first seed of regular season against Los, who were the last seed into getting to playoffs. Also, by a coin flip almost, because they were tied with Liberty and they got into playoffs because of a head-to-head advantage. I'm not saying that they didn't deserve it, of course, but we're talking about the extreme ends of the seeding, so that means quite a lot, I would say. And I think VKS have been playing really well. Yesterday we had VKS versus Spain, game 5, very rough. VKS getting back after the 2-game lead that Spain had built. And of course, the matchup that I personally am most excited about for next week would be Red versus Kaboom. I think there is something to be talked about every strength, because so far we've had many of these matchups like Robo versus FNB today. When you look at this, you have FNB versus Lonely. And then in the mid lane, you have House doing really well, like FNB does, but then versus Grabstar. Doing consistent, but not as shiny of a player, as outplaying of a player in regards to playoffs so far. So it's kind of like their strengths rely on different places.
That's very true. Actually, now I think you sold this matchup for me, Soph. I think this is going to be one of the most exciting matches we are going to see throughout the whole playoffs bracket in this split of CBLOL. But honestly, this whole split just keeps on delivering because we're getting some classic CBLOL goodness from these games, and I'm all in for it.
Oh, me too, Solari, me too. We hope that you all enjoyed, of course, what we got here today. Enjoy your Easter if you do celebrate this holiday. If not, just enjoy your Sunday. Sundays are good. Yeah. Good days to relax, comfy days. And we are so happy to always bring you CBLOL action. I have been Sochan, she has been Solari. We hope to see you next weekend for more CBLOL playoffs. We'll see you then.